honored and privileged to have Celery on as well. And, you know, we've got more great Dota coming up here. So a lot to watch out for, a lot in the line. Celery, you played against OG, you know, you've got a feel for it. How do you feel about this matchup against Liquid?
I saw a bit of the Liquid games as well yesterday. I think if they play quick, they should have a good chance against OG. Like the panel mentioned earlier, OG plays a bit slower than most of the European teams.
Yeah.
So you can punish that with early aggression and taking over the map.
Yeah, and we'll see if they can do that. We do see that Enigma ban. We were talking about that a little bit. You know, Liquid have been sticking to that for Zai, so they actually do prioritize it. But that leaves a lot of options. You know, Marcy, Primal Beast, the two straight bans. They will take care of the Primal Beast here. Marcy first pick, you reckon, just a safe play?
It's hard to say. Maybe. Yesterday, Marcy and Primal were banned in every game against Liquid. So we don't actually know if they will prioritize it the most. But most teams prioritize the Marcy a lot. It's been doing really good this tournament, so I reckon we'll see it.
Well, you can appreciate the ban as well from OG, just getting rid of that Enigma that we saw. I mean, Zai, how many times this man just picked this hero? And we talked about it yesterday in the series with Liquid, right? Like, it's the fear of God, just not knowing when the black hole's coming, and it just, even if it never gets thrown out, you've got to be wary of it, and there's the Marcy. You guys just talked about it. A very contested hero right now. No surprises, it gets first picked up here by Liquid.
Yeah, it just provides so much, right? Like, you've got a lot of mobility, you've got a great steroid for your core, you've got the flexibility in running this here in any position. OG into the Lesh, which we saw a lot of in the last series as well, and the Lich. So they've got a lot of good magic damage coming out, some really good timings to play with, and some ways of mitigating that physical output here, right?
Yeah, this is a combo that has been quite popular this TI, for the Lich and the Lesh. I was thinking, whenever I see this myself, I think, oh, it's a nice game for Ench. You can purge his shield. But they just opt for the Lina instead. It would be nice for them if they have some way to purge his shield at some point, because this Lash can be very tanky parts of the game with the Bloodstone.
Yeah, like that timing with the Bloodstone just enables this hero so much. The Lina response, we've seen a little bit of this, right? And I think it was Gunnar yesterday saying that, you know, a long-range mid is kind of a nice way to handle the Lush. You've got good wave clear, good ways of keeping up in farm here. And with the Marcy, you've got even more right-click damage if you opt for that route.
Yeah, I suppose they'll probably put the Lina mid against the Lesh. That's probably what they're aiming for. They might, if they have good roaming supports, they already have the Marcy. They might try to punish this Lesh on the mid lane, because he is quite fragile. He will die to a Marcy stun.
Yeah. We talked about that pacing just a little bit as well, right? And the panel pointed out OG does like a little bit of a slower game. Do you want to see Liquid kind of pick up the pace? Do you feel like Lina Marcy is maybe a good foundation to run a faster draft against that?
Yeah, it's a solid start for sure. The Lina technically is still flex as well. I think Boxy also likes to play this hero, so it's hard to say. If they maybe can get their hands on a Beastmaster or something to up the tempo, I think that will be really good for them.
Final ban now for OG before we do get into some more picks. I do love myself some predictions, and it obviously makes you guys look fantastic. Is there any hero predictions right here, right now? What do you think's coming up third?
5 seconds.
Give me anything.
A pick, right? Not
give me a pick. Just give me a pick.
I feel like a Nyx could kind of slot in here if you wanted it.
Always go for the Nyx.
I mean, you've got Leshrac, you've got Lish. It's a pretty good hero. Spike Carapace is going to feel good. Mana Burn's going to feel great against Lesh. And to protect the Lesh, we have seen Nyx first phase bans for first phase Lesh anyway.
Yeah, Nyx or Clock would be nice for OG here probably. They both have the same function of a bit more frontline. They're good against the Lina as well. Nyx is also good against Lesh, so they would take it away from Liquid as well.
It scares me when someone agrees with John X5. That's a very scary moment for me. So don't feel the need to agree with him, trust me. You go your own ways. They are using quite a bit of reserve time here for this final pickup. Very curious to see where they do end up going. It seems like they are just focused on the off lane right now of Team Liquid. I mean, Zai is such an impactful player for the side of Liquid. You just don't want to give him a good game. In fact, they do get rid of the Lone Druid as well. Obviously, a Matumba man special, you don't want to give him that kind of comfort. OG, they'll have their third pick. Let's see what it's going to be. Both of you guys mentioned the Nyx. I believe you mentioned the Clockwork as well, that we have been seeing quite a lot of recently. See if they do go for either option. Of course, Tiger performing perfectly on either of those heroes recently, and be a real treat to watch him on it.
5 seconds.
Yeah, I think the one thing as well for Liquid that's left available is this Spirit Breaker Lifestealer combination, or just a Lifestealer in general. Matumba's been showing a lot of prowess on that. OG, they do pick up the Shadow Demon, so they've got a nice way of controlling some of these heroes. Good setup for the Leshrac down the line, maybe a little bit more push coming out as well, and some defensiveness from that disruption here.
Yeah, that's very, very interesting. I was thinking for Liquid, Insania also likes these type of heroes, the Shadow Demon, the Bane. And I thought it might be a pick for them against the Lesh and the Lich.
5 seconds
Because it's
remaining.
the Lesh cannot move at all. It purchased the Lich shield. It's very good against these heroes. But OG opt to pick it up instead. They do have 2 very defensive supports now. So they need to make sure they get some heroes that want to go in on the last 2 picks. Otherwise you have 3 heroes that are not really starting the fight.
Is it hard going against OG, Celery? Like, you've played these guys so many times, like with these kind of weird styles of drafts and the versatility these guys have, like, is it hard to draft against a team like OG?
You cannot be afraid. You just have to go. So don't get caught off guard. Just do your thing.
Undying is the pickup here from Liquid. Obviously, Undying, a very, very popular hero. You drop the Tombstone, your job's done. You can happily die afterwards. Just so hard to deal with as well. Like, even as a pos 5 Undying, it's just such a tanky hero to have to try and deal with. Team Liquid, they do get away with it. I wonder what they follow up with here.
I mean, it's still fairly open. You've got the flex, right? Marcy could be offlane, Undying could be offlane, one of these could be our supports, both of them could be our supports. So it's really open for Liquid to kind of determine what they want in their lanes. I think with the Undying pick as well, you don't have a good way of clearing out the Tombstone here. So it's always going to be a massive issue in the middle of these fights. You're not fighting against strength heroes, you're not sapping away damage, but these are not the highest strength scaling heroes either.
Yeah, I think the Undying pick is very cool because they know the heroes that OG needs right now are the Initiator heroes. Maybe they want to go up for something like an SK again, and Undying will destroy that hero in lane. So they block a lot of the picks that OG could go for.
And that Drow Undying lane, it's really potent as well, right? Like, it's just so hard to deal with once you hit that level 2 mark. You've got the Tombstone, you've got the Decay with the Frost Arrows, and I don't know, is there a particular offlane hero you'd personally like to see here, Celery, like for ATF to try and counter out? Because it seems like this kind of lane is very hard to deal with.
It seems like Liquid banned for this. They probably had this in mind. They banned the Mars, they banned the Slaughter. Both heroes that can be very problematic for a hero like Drow. So let's see, there's still always the Timber. I don't think it's good in this lane. Amar really likes his SK as well, but I think he's gonna have the same issues that he had when he played us yesterday. He won that game, so maybe it's just a pick. But,
Yeah. Still fairly open up. Is there a chance maybe for like a Razor? I know it's not been as big in the offlane, but you know, Razor against Drow, if you can gap close, you've got the Shadow Demon to set up. Could be one way, I suppose. You go to Centaur instead. So it does come out.
All right, sell it to me, boys. Aghanim Scepter Centaur. Is it possible? Could it happen? On the main stage, please tell me it could happen.
With the Leshrac, it sounds pretty good, right? You're just standing there, you're invulnerable, you're protected, and you're just doing a lot of AoE damage. It wouldn't be bad. It's quite the gold investment for that, maybe like
I mean,
the
it can
fifth
happen.
item. Yeah.
Amar loves the farm, he loves his
True.
Midas. Who knows?
Turn to ban.
Oh, I'll be praying the whole game to see a Roshan with an Axe Blessing or something. Just give it to ATF, give us the memes, please, OG. We are going to go into those final bans here between these two teams. Nagasara banned out for Liquid. We see the Beastmaster being removed by OG. A couple more bans to come. Is there any particular heroes you guys think would slot in very well with these last picks for this draft?
5 seconds remaining.
So Liquid still looking for an offlane, most likely. They could still flex the Marcy on offlane and pick up boss 4. A lot of offlaners have been banned already.
Yeah, I think maybe if you look at what Boxy likes to play, something that can tie in with the Marcy aggressively could be nice. I believe the Tusk is still an option on hand. Maybe double melee doesn't feel too good against 2 ranged supports, and maybe a ranged core down the line here for OG if they want that. But I think it's just the potential for aggression, right? Like, you've got so many ways to jump in. You can kind of cut off that backline save, try to play for the burst. And just looking at Liquid's draft overall, going for the Drow with the Lina, the marksmanship on Lina, not the best, you're in interior, but it's just more attack speed. The right-click Lina build-up could feel really good here. And OG's solution is really just what? This Stampede away or blink forward with Centaur.
Yeah, the Lina mid looks very potent here for sure. One cool thing Liquid could do is lane the Marcy offlane with Lina support. I think that's a pretty good lane here, and they could go up for something like a Pango mid. It looks like a pretty good Pango mid game. He kind of ruins all the backline from OG. They have nothing to stop him once he's rolling. With his Diffu, he's also very, very good against Lesh. I think that could be a really good pick here.
See if they do go for it. OG, one more ban to go before we can finish off these drafts. think about it, I mean, it can be a bit confusing again because of the flexibility of Team Liquid's draft here. Maybe just another offlaner to get banned out by OG before we do get going. Because you just want to make sure you don't kind of get run over. We saw the Beastmaster banned out in the lone Druid. You just don't want them to be able to set a pace that you can't keep up with here for the side of OG. Very, very scary when you're dealing with heroes like the Undying and the Lina and the Drow. And they're just, if they get a decent laning stage, they just kind of go off and can set a pace you just can't keep up with here as OG. There's 10 seconds left for this last pick up there, thinking about it.
I'm not seeing a clean way for OG to kind of tie up that safe lane here, Celery. Anything that comes to mind for you that kind of handles how far Liquid can kind of hit with Lina Drow?
I mean, it's hard to say. He plays a lot of heroes. It depends. They do go for the Pango. Wow.
Yeah, good call on that flex.
Interesting. I'm not sure what OG needs right now. I think they're missing a lot of things in their draft right now. I think it's going to be really hard to deal with the Pango. Bloodseeker is still in the pool. It's going to have a pretty good lane, I think. Lich Bloodseeker, that might be one of the heroes to have to go for. It's very good against Drow as well. Whenever you rupture this Drow, he will get shredded by Bloodseeker in the mid game.
They'll go for the Slark. There you go. OG looking very, very good here with this draft. I mean, both drafts are done now. I'm going to ask you both the hard question. Which do you think is the better draft going into this game one? If you had to give me an answer.
Ooh. I really like Liquid draft, but they put the Pango on the offlane. I don't really like that. I think I'll still go with them. I really like the draft they have. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'm with Celery. I think just seeing how far Liquid can reach with Drow Lina, even though the Pango is off lane, not going up against Leshrac, Lina versus Lesh is still a really nice lane to have. Maybe you get a little bit more now out from OG with a Slark. Like, you're not going to be completely zoned out just by the Pango and his spam. You've got some counterplay there with the Lich, which can be really aggressive. But I think Liquid's timings just look a lot sharper. And OG, those issues you mentioned, just jumping the back line outside of Stampede or a Blink is still going to be a bit difficult.
Yeah,
it's going to be a very interesting. It's going to be a very, very interesting game. Of course, we do have the coach of Liquid standing ready with Slack, so we're going to head over to them and see what Blitz has to say.
Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. I am here with Blitz Dota. So good to have you again. Another tournament, another year, another Liquid versus OG. You faced these guys so many times before. Do you feel like you kind of know what they're going to bring out, or are they surprising you, especially at this tournament?
I mean, this is their first Leshrac pick, I think, in the entire tournament, so that was a little bit surprising, but not wholly unexpected. But yeah, I mean, we have a lot of familiarity with them. Obviously, Tommy was on our team, so...
Now, I know that your heart must be racing seeing that Centaur pick. The cart is extremely powerful. It is extremely viable. Will this be the first time that we see the Centaur cart? Are you ready for it?
Yeah, absolutely. It's super sick, especially since you suggested it, so I hope they just straight up rush it. No other items.
Yep, me too. All right, fantastic. Will we see the first card? Will we see Liquid coming out ahead? I hope so. Thank you so much, Blitz Dota, and we will run right into this game. Game number one.
Well, thank you so much, Slacks. We do get into it. Game number one between OG and Liquid, these fan-favorite teams. One of them has to go home today. Boys, it's an absolute pleasure casting with you both here at TI11. I can't wait to get this one started. Talk to me. I mean, we've already discussed the drafts. We've got a straight-up pause. This is a classic SEA pause, by the way, Celery. This is how you cast SEA Dota. But what are you thinking? Like, going into this laning stage, is there anything in particular we have to worry about?
I think the Slark lane will be very interesting. For that reason, I would have liked the Lina to be pos 4. I think that would have been a lot better against Slark in lane. But we'll have to see.
Boxy, please. I mean, they've got the right guys for it at the very least. We're used to it.
Yeah, I mean, maybe a 2-hour pause, maybe 3-hour, hopefully not, but, you know, you could be ready for one. Could be the longest series just by virtue of a pause like that, but yeah. You know, it can be a bit dicey.
I don't know why everyone's clapping, John. I don't know why they're clapping. Does everyone really want to sit here for 2 hours looking at a blank screen?
You know, maximize that ticket, get more games out, more Dota out per hour. Yeah.
Hopefully no one abandons though. That would be nice.
Hopefully not. It looks like we are ready. The Kappa was there as well. We're ready to go very, very soon. So game one, you talked about the Slark lane, I believe. You wanted to see a pos 4 Lina. It doesn't seem like that's going to be quite the case. Mickey has taken the mid laner there once again. Yesterday we did see, and Gunnar was talking about this quite a lot. He wanted to see the right-click Lina yesterday, and it actually was a magic build. What's your prediction this time? Does Mickey go the magic style of Lina, or would you prefer to see a right-click build this time around?
Personally, I'm more a fan of the right-click build. I think it scales a bit quicker, and it should be very good in this game. To OG not having the most jump for the backline. I think if he has magic, he might also have a hard time against SD ult, which will purge. He cannot self-heals. He's going to be very slow. I think a BKB should be one of his first items.
Yeah, I think it also just ties in with when you have the Drow, when you have the Marcy, you can just do a lot of damage just with the buffs around you, and you can just absolutely melt these heroes. So we'll see if that's what Mike opts for. It should be really nice. I love your point there, though. Like, the lane for Yuragi. Do you feel like that's something Liquid might just have to struggle with here with the off-lane Pango for Zai? Like, we've seen Zai multiple times before. He loves all his utility. He loves setting up for his team. Is he going to be able to find those timings here?
We talked a bit earlier about lane pulls. I think if Liquid can get them some good pulls off, it might be a bit hard for the Lich to connect the waves, and that might give them a good lane. Their goal should be to probably go 50-50 in this lane. I think the Lich Lark should have the upper hand there.
We are going to see both teams hanging around that mid lane as per usual. Flags being placed by OG around the banner rune spots. No fights to break out, it seems. Though bottom side, maybe we do see something to break out. Not quite. In fact, they are trying a little bit. The K's around top side. Tiger, he could be in a bit of danger, but the slows aren't going to be too much at level 1. Matumba, he does have the frost arrows, but or maybe it will be. They land another. Tiger, still running. Looks like he's going to be just fine, but quite a bit of harassment being dealt already.
Yeah, just shoves him away. They're kind of ready for that lane. You can see Insania again. 6-man goes ready, blocks the large camp here up top. So he's going to be able to set up to kind of enable that lane, stop them from trying to equalize here on OG's end at least.
Pretty nice start for OG. 3 bounty runs. It actually helps a lot with these lanes. Having a little bit extra gold, a little bit more regen, can snowball quite a bit.
Let's talk about the mid lane to get started. I mean, you've got Mike. He's going to be against BZM on the Leshrac. Now, I think you mentioned in the draft, Mike should have somewhat of an advantage against the Lesh just based on how much range you have to harass away from. Is there a way BZM can kind of even out or win this lane against Mike?
Winning it is going to be very hard, but I think it's a very high skill matchup where if the Lesh does a really good job, he will go close to even. Overall, though, Mike is an expert on Lina, so he's probably going to take advantage of this lane.
Tiger? What is Tiger doing right now? It's pulling the creep wave. Insania's pulling it too into the mid lane. All right, Celery, go on, analyze this. What's going on?
Yeah, this is a classic. It's
What is happening?
Double waves mid.
The SD really doesn't want to fight this Undying, so he's going for these wave pulls, and now, yeah.
Here we go. I mean, I've seen musical lanes before. This is a little bit different. A few more plays than I'm used to seeing rotating between these lanes, and yeah, all about the mid matchups of both mid laners. They get 2 creep waves instead of 1, and this is literally the mid player dream right here. Just the supports dragging more creeps over.
Don't ever see this.
Don't get any ideas, by the way, for your pup. This is not what you should be doing.
Ty.
Trying to run. Misha gonna be there. Boxy trying to get aggressive, but the Frostblast's gonna force him away.
I think the one thing with that movement from mid, right, you leave that solo lane for the Drow, so you end up having a pretty good time for Matu. He's not going to be harassed out by the CK solo. Maybe you get less creeps with a creep wave completely gone, but you've got a little bit more breathing room. You don't have to worry about the disruption set up into stun if they do want to run forward.
I think overall, OG is very happy with what happened with these wave pulls. Undying is one of the best laners against strength curls. He will take the damage from the core, he will deny every creep. And when Undying is running away, this is a win for SD. SD is not a lane dominator, he will skill way better.
Bottom, that's a lot of damage being dealt, Zai. You get the swashbuckle away and actually finds first blood. Misha, the one to drop. Thought Zai was almost guaranteed dead, but Zai able to turn around and at least secure first blood for himself. Matumba, bit of a chase up top. He's gonna be just fine though. Amar unable to connect.
Again, you're seeing what Celery said, right? Insania's always dragged away. He's barely spent any time up top. So even though you're leaving that free lane for the Drow, the CK is also feeling pretty all right. He's not being harassed out, he's not losing strength, and he is getting leveled. So Amar's just able to kind of soak away. He's not finding as much CS, but he's kind of keeping up with the Drow, so they're just trading evenly in farm. And solo EXP for the Centaur, it just feels a lot better.
Yeah, OG should be very happy with that. What happened on bot is very nice for Liquid, getting a kill, getting a first blood for them in a lane that should be quite rough. And we can see the Lina is having a really, really good time on mid this game. taking full advantage of all the extra creeps they got on mid as well.
Top lane, ATF, gonna make a jump in. Hoot Stomp is there with disruption setup. Matumba, he'll go for the Gus, but Tiger, he's got so many stacks over, he will be able to pick up the Drow. They are really abusing the combination as bottom lane, Boxy, he's gonna be just fine to walk his way out. Liquid still doing just fine down at this bottom lane, but top lane seems to be a bit of a struggle now.
Yeah, it's when they can commit, right? It's that classic Centaur Shadow Demon combo. Disruption into stun. The Undying at level 2 doesn't really have much to save you. Level 1 Solar Rip can be nice depending on how the creep wave stands, but you can't threaten them away.
Another kill for the Bengal.
Bottom, they are going once again. Zai in danger. He's going to be able to walk away. They did pick up Misha down at that bot lane. It's Yuragi now, the one to be on the run, though Zai moving back in with the toss back out from Boxy. Yuragi, he's the one in danger. Zai still going. They missed the rebound. Yuragi is trying to fight back, but is not going to be able to get it done. At least Zai does die for mid lane. This is a much bigger target. Mike, top of the CS board right now. Top of the net worth, trying to fight back, but he might be the one to drop, and does. Tiger with a fantastic rotation on the Shadow Demon.
Yeah, they're all over the map. That's such a big kill for OG. You were almost twice as much on Mika in terms of CS over BZM. So they needed to equalize there. They get the rotation out. It does come at the cost maybe of just throwing bot a little bit, but you do want that Lesh to go off to a great start. You mentioned it last time we were watching the last game there, Celery. If a Lesh doesn't go off to a good start, it does feel like it gets thrown off. You do need some farm.
Yeah, that was super nice for the Lesh. He's back now on net worth. It's very close. This bot lane has been very interesting. I thought this would be a very, very hard lane for them, due to what happened in the lane at the start. Now it's just an even lane, and that's gonna be great for them.
It's quite detrimental.
Yeah, the big thing in this game, I feel, is what happened with these wave pulls early. If you look at Undying's net worth, he tanked a lot. This hero spends all his gold on net worth for the lane, or all his net worth on the lane to win it. But when these waves got pulled, and he also tried to run mid, I think that was a big mistake, because now he's very far behind the net worth. The lane was not won, the draw is below the center. And he needs to try to find some impact real soon to catch back up. This hero does not really farm that much.
Yeah, that's the concern. Like, you mentioned that lane domination. Insania's hasn't really had a lane to hold on to. Still trying to trade with Taiga up top, and we're seeing a little bit of a back and forth movement here with Misha and with Boxy kind of checking in on mid, but it's a very even game start so far, despite the back and forth, despite the lane shenanigans. You know, 3-3, 1k lead coming out here. You do have Mickey on top of everyone else by a huge margin. Like, is that Lina timing? Is this lead by Mickey despite the death? Is that what they have to build around here for OG, for Liquid as they go on?
It's going to be interesting to see what moves they'll make around it.
Top lane, Insania. He was disrupted up. Looks like Tiger just wants to try and retreat, but Insania still chasing it now. Boxy with the rotation. Tiger, well, he's still alive. Very fire out, trying to make it towards Roshan, but Boxy does secure. Now they're going for more. BZM going to try and trade, but unable to lock him down. Insania for a run as well, a bit slower, will drop the tombstone on the high ground just to make sure they can't keep the chase going. It may have fed quite a bit of gold back the way of OG. They still gaze up Insania, but they will not land the split earth. He's going to be just fine.
That gives info on that Obso. So instant D-ward coming out here from Boxy, and that should help them maintain some control in that top jungle. A lot of back and forth movement, early rotation out. They tried to go for bait play, but BZM doesn't quite find anything. At least he can just go back in the jungle and farm, and he is given room to do so.
Yeah, the main playmaker Liquid has is going to be this Bengal. I think the Lina will need some more time. He's going to have his Falcon Blade complete, but you don't want to look to make some big moves with this hero. Potentially what Liquid can do is collapse with a lot of heroes on the mid lane and utilize their Lina in that simple way.
Bottom lane, Zai still having a very good time against Yuragi. Again, this is the thing we weren't really expecting here against the Slark, but look at Zai! He's completely destroying this bottom lane, and you just almost can't believe it against the Slark, but Zai's making it look easy right now.
that they've just made so many moves across the map that they've had to leave Yuragi alone. They need to drag Misha around. He's trying to armor up mid to slow down the shove from Mika, and it is slowing down that right click, but it comes at a pretty big cost.
Mid lane now, they even find the Lich. It's not the biggest kill in the world, but they want something as Misha is going to get Lacuna. A very nice pickup from Mickey, and it allows them to keep going for that mid tier 1 tower, as Mickey would love to keep harassing. In fact, they want the fight. Tiger forced to run. The Stampede will allow it, but in comes Zai from the side. He still wants Tiger, and he's going to find him.
Down bot.
Down bot as well. Matumba Man has rotated Yuragi, just getting swarmed right now by the side of Liquid, completely drowning his Yuragi as he does go down to the bot lane. Meanwhile, mid, they're still going. They found the Leshrac. BZM gonna try to run, but it's not enough. Liquid, they're flooding the side of OG.
They're all over the map, and Matu, he heads bot. The Stampede was up. Yuragi feels like he can go for that kill. 2 split up fights. Liquid found it all.
That was an incredible sequence. They collapsed the mid super well. The Drow realized top was not that safe anymore. Here comes bot. They even get the bonus kill on the Slark. It was super good for Liquid. The Drow was not putting himself at risk. He's playing at a safe spot. Center has a good time, but they utilize the timing they had really well.
What do you do now? Like OG 3-9, very slight net worth lead the way of Liquid. Do you feel like they're still okay in this game? Do they need to slow the pace down a little bit?
State of the game is looking pretty good for Liquid, I think. The Slark and the Drow will both need to catch up. Just keep farming for now. But their Lina is very high on top. Their Pengo is having a really good game. And this Pengo is going for what looks like a Vlad, potentially a Wraith back. They'll have a really big timing once he gets this. I don't think they're on a rush to take this mid tower. They can make a move with Pengo ult at some point. But for now, they should be happy slowing the game down a bit.
Bot lane gazes out, but rebound is there. Foxy, he's got the unleash now onto the Lich. They'll find Misha straight away as Yuragi. He just can't catch a break. They'll toss him back with the dispose. Yuragi, he's going to keep trying to run, but Zai's right behind him. Still landing the swashbuckle with the multi-shot. It won't connect. It just may not matter. Foxy, right on target with a double kill here for Liquid. OG losing more bodies as time just goes on.
Yeah, that was OG clumping up first. They were the ones looking for that opportunity with 3 heroes lined up, 2 supports backing Yuragi this time around, and they still get punished. Liquid, they just respond so quick. They hit these timings. They have these leveled spikes that just feel massive, and they have so much AoE that even with a Shadow Dance, you're not really safe here for Yuragi.
Yeah, that was brilliant fight by Liquid. For OG, they should probably look to try to involve their center in the game. He's their most farmed hero. This is what can feel a little bit awkward about this hero at times. Is right now he is super strong. Like Liquid don't want to fight him, but they're not. They're just fighting on the other side, and for Centaur it's a bit harder to connect. This Pengo TP's in. He has very easy spells to connect with in the fight, and they're abusing that fully right now.
Yeah, at what point do you feel like Omar is going to take that initiative to join in? He's saving up for the blink. He's only about 700 gold away. Is that the call? Just wait for that initiation and start going?
Yeah, I think he's doing the right thing. He just needs this blink. Before that, you don't really want to join. If possible, OG should be a bit careful on the other side of the map until he has this blink, and they can just fight with him once he's ready.
Matumba just having such a good time on this Drow now, able to just really escalate in terms of net worth. Very far ahead of Yuragi, considering 700 gold right now on the Drow. The Drow, one of the slower farmers in the game, you'd have to argue, but to hit that level 6 mark, it does escalate quite a bit, and it's been a very good time so far for Matumba as he just continues hanging around that jungle. No real risk of dying here for the Drow, as Boxy's always around to tank any kind of gank coming, allow him to get out, and speaking of that gank, it may just be coming. Misha is going to be there with BZM. They'll smoke up as 2, head down towards the bottom side of the map, see if they can find the side of Liquid, but they've read the movement very well. They are going to back their way up, back into the triangle here, Liquid. Seems like unless you're willing to try and make your way through to that area, OG are going to find nothing with this smoke, and quite frankly, I wouldn't quite recommend going to the triangle of the die right now.
Yeah, I think OG needs to wait a second. Centaur has his blink coming now. They can look to make a move with this. Their Slark is queuing up the Midas, which I think is good. This hero, you talked about Drow not being the quickest farmer. Like, Slark needs to catch up, for sure. He needs to let his team play as 4 while he just catches up with this Midas.
Yeah, does it feel like it gets a bit greedy though? I mean, you talk about Leshrac ults and eating items, so you're waiting for this full Bloodstone to be up. At least the Blink will allow Amar to play, but you've got 2 farming cores there trying to get that build up, while for Liquid it just feels like they don't need as much to kind of get some impact here.
Yeah, Liquid is gonna hit a really big timing soon. This Pengo has his Vlad's complete, Lina almost has the BKB. So if they can collapse with these timings, take over the map, take the Roche, should be really good for them.
Big smoke up, OG. 4-man smoke through that dire triangle, trying to find a big target, but they won't find one quite yet. In fact, Insania, very good positioning. Ready to break the smoke, but won't find anyone quite yet. Oh, they found Matumba on the Drow. That's the target they wanted. Insania just a second too early, and Matumba's gonna drop. OG able to immediately punish off the blink of ATF, and do you call that unfortunate? Just barely missing out on the Undying.
You can call it unfortunate. It was also a brilliant move by OG. They chilled, they saw the Undying, they just dodged them and got the perfect jump. That was really well done by them. Taking great use of their blink.
Yeah, and that gives them space as well to just shove in mid. Mid-tier 1 not standing so healthy here for Liquid. I'm not going to fully commit from the side of OG, but you can always threaten with that Leshrac now. BZM's got enough levels in the Edict that melting through the early objectives is going to be a lot quicker. And for Liquid, they didn't have a massive lead network-wise, so that does even out the game a little bit more. They are going for their smoke play here, though.
Yeah, down towards the bottom side. Who can they find there, though? Might rotate towards the left, but no, they are going all the way down bottom. Who are they going to run into? Oh, it's Yuragi. That's the exact target you want. Laguna immediately out. Yuragi going to try to run, but Zai on target once again, able to secure the kill. And Yuragi, he has no breathing room.
I think every single kill of Zai has been Yuragi. He's 0-5. Zai has 5 kills.
What's
Like,
the worst that can
all of
happen?
it's just been on that Slark, and they've done a fantastic job of just suppressing. I mean, the Midas is still going to have to come out. You're going to need to eat a lot of space. He does have a Midas, but the investment takes time to really pay off. And again, it's just back to kind of waiting for that Slark. So does OG have enough here to kind of buy that space 4v5? You mentioned they'd have to play that way. Bloodstone's almost done as well for BZM, so the tools are coming there. Is it enough against that BKB on Lina?
The X factor they do have is this SD, who is really farming. Taiga's having a really good game. He's trying to take over his Slark. He might do so. If Midas being ready while he's dead doesn't get a lot worse as a carry when you see it. Oh.
The massive Midas, it's a classic. What can you do? It happens. Mid lane, Liquid, they're going to start moving in, trying to apply a bit of pressure onto that tier 2 tower. It seems like they're aware that OG just aren't ready to force a fight, though I say that. They do TP in, they do prepare with ATF, they've even got the Bloodstone now up on BZM. Maybe this is the spike they've been looking for to try and force another team fight against Liquid. The question is, can they actually find them?
It's a bit rough vision-wise. They don't have that much reach onto the other side of the river here. Lots of sentries out from Liquid just to ensure that they're secure while farming up. So it's going to be a little bit of a dark smoke out. They will go for the play. They saw a little bit of movement up top from Zai clearing out the creep waves. Might find something juicy if they stick around to farm here on Liquid's end.
Towards the north they go. OG, be a massive team fight. Wards are down. They've got the vision. They're going to see Boxy. They'll make the jump in. Onto the Marcy. Boxy, he's still actually a little bit of a tankier target. They'll purge him up, gaze him, and stun him up here with BZM. It's going to be a nice position for pick-off for the side of OG. Can they find more?
I don't think Liquid minds it too much. OG doesn't have any threat on the Roche right now. Liquid still has a nice ward on them, so they can just wait a second. They didn't lose any of their core heroes, so it shouldn't be too bad.
I mean, they could have easily found Mika if he just hanged around in that area nearby, but they pull back in the right time. Still.
Here we go. ATF, blink in. That's a 2-man stun out from ATF into the Stampede. This could be a great team fight for OG. They've already got Zai down. Insania dropping, but the Chain Frost not quite bouncing his way, but it won't matter. They'll find a second. OG. Very nice initiation from ATF as always.
Yeah, I mean, that forced out Mika's BKB. He forced to just BKB TP away, never feels good. You don't lose the biggest heroes at the least, and losing the Pango is pretty big, but you already have some initial items to play with, stalling out the Blink by maybe a half minute there with how close Zai is anyway.
Yeah.
So you still feel all right-ish.
Yeah, these 2 kills are super nice for OG, but the big thing about this is you saw the Slark, this deal warded 2 wards after that. They just took all vision away from Liquid, and OG just wants to buy some time right now, so this is gonna help them a lot. Liquid has no vision on map right now. It's gonna be quite tricky for them to get out on the map. It's still nighttime for 3 more minutes. I think Liquid should try to group up as 5 very soon, because right now they're getting outplayed on the map.
OG, there's your group up. Liquid, they're going to try and make something happen. A 5-man smoke up. OG, though, they've got a high ground advantage. BZM was spotted, but Misha, he's going to break the gank. In goes the stun from ATF, trying to start on Boxy. He's such a tanky target. They're throwing everything but the kitchen sink at ATF, but he's still not dropping. Uragi, meanwhile, he will back off at BZM. He's moving right back in. He's all by himself, however, and will drop. The BZM getting punished for his aggression. As Tiger, he'll be just fine to back out. But they do end up losing that mid-Leshrac as well as the Pos 5 Lich.
That just timed really well for Liquid. He managed to get the roll in with a blink reveal out from Zai right as Amar comes in for the stun. So they're not able to play around that. Immediate Stampede to try to retreat. And maybe a little bit of miscom. BZM's already up on the ramp. He's just trying to go for it by himself. It just kind of gives a bit of a freebie out to Liquid.
Yeah, he could have probably retreated there, but this fight was super nice for Liquid. It was a nice choke point for the Tombstone as well, giving all the vision that they needed. Now they got the Aegis, so that's perfect.
Where do you want to head now with this Aegis up for the side of Liquid? Like, is it just going to be that farming Aegis that we've talked about before? Is it going to be an aggressive kind of Aegis where you want to try and force the fights? What should Liquid be doing right now?
I would like them to group up again soon. I think they have really big timings right now. They got the big items that they need. And this Drow is not a hero that cannot fight. This Drow is very strong right now. I think they need to involve him. He has the Aegis, so he doesn't have to be as afraid of Centaur jumping. So I would like them to group up, try to take back the map.
I think just going back to how farmed Taiga is, he's got that blink up along with the Aether Lens. We're trying to rush into the Axe along with the Ghost Scepter. So you do have that reach, you do have that follow through to set up for Amar maybe, and just kind of try to run that Drow down. You don't have anything defensive yet for Matu, although.
Liquid, they don't see the side of OG moving in, but they do eventually find Misha, who does go into the Invis, but it won't matter. BZM, he's a bigger target. The Leshrac once again being slowed up, controlled up, and taken down. Liquid. Perfect fight for them as they find a double once again. More importantly, finding the mid Leshrac, and well, now they're onto the top tier 1 tower.
Yeah, I love how aggressive they're being. They're just grouping up as 5. They're going for a smoke off the back of that. Their position very well known, but Amar's pretty far forward if he's not careful. Might back off. Still, that opens up the map, right? It's forcing OG away from just pushing out waves. It's allowing you to take control and potentially maybe line up for a tier 2 if you find even more.
I like the way they're splitting them up. They're just letting their Lina play more as the Pos 1, since he has the travel, so he can always connect. And just move together with your Drow, take the map with the less mobile hero.
Tiger almost getting caught out there, but does manage to blink away just in the nick of time. Still Liquid moving very aggressively across the map, trying to take those farming positions of OG. So OG now have grouped up, maybe trying to think about a fight, but these last couple team fights just have not gone their way. As Liquid, they'll be the ones to back off. They don't have the vision to fight here. Some down eventually, but now Liquid, they will play it safe. It's still anyone's game. Like, you've got a 1k net worth lead for Liquid. It could go the other way very, very quickly. Even with the Aegis up as Liquid, they'll try to make the jump in onto ATF, but a quick link up is going to make sure he's just fine. And I suppose with the Aegis, maybe you could try to pressure this bottom too.
I'm just sitting here. Behind. Hitting stock for you.
I'm big AoE here.
Slash right now, lash. Nice, go.
Centaur TP out.
SD, go.
You heard that shouting. Lesh is the call. I suppose that's all you need to say sometimes. Just get the mid Leshrac.
Yeah, I mean, again, the positioning there, not quite where you'd want to be.
ATF, big initiation in. He's found the Drow range, but Matumba's being protected by Boxy. Can they get the Drow out for now? There's the multi-shot. ATF dropping low. Boxy still manning up here against Uragi, but eventually will drop to Matumba. Somehow still alive onto BZM, but he's dropping real low now. The Aegis, it will go down. That's the first line. alive. Mickey, who can he turn on? ATF, he's found the target. That's the one they wanted. Matumba, he'll get the soul rip, but it doesn't seem to be enough. OG able to punish real hard for Liquid as they keep going. Tiger, he's got the purge out. Mickey in big trouble. He's another great target, and OG have found it. In fact, they're not done yet, but ATF, he doesn't land the stun. Zai, he'll be on the run. Insania, he's going to TP under the tree line and will be just fine, but can they get Zai out of there? And the Pango, he'll get into the tree line, but the gaze is there. Lock him down and take him out. OG, they will punish the side of Liquid even with the Aegis up on Matumba, man.
That's the perfect situation for OG there, managing to really split up the fight. We saw, as you mentioned, you connect the Lina in with the travels, you come in with the BKB, but the saves coming out from Taiga, the investment in the Shadow Demon, with that disruption out, if you can't land the stuns, you don't really do much in that window.
Yeah, we could also see the strength here of the Lich armor in this fight. The Lash is a lot tankier than you would expect. We know how good this Bloodstone is, how much he heals, but in this fight we can really see this Lich armor adding up, and this Lash is just walking in. They're not afraid of the Aegis. They took a nice initiative on the fight, and it really paid off here.
Yeah, you can see right there, Matu just tries to focus in, gets a good Hurricane Pike use, but with a Frost armor up, he's just scratching BZM. It just doesn't do enough.
Very, very tough here for Liquid, trying their absolute best. But when you catch the Drow out, it's just so hard to try and turn the team fight. And ATF, as usual, just doing a fantastic job with his initiations, always finding the target he knows OG needs to get before they can really force the fight. And with that now, OG, it feels like the ball's back in their court. They control more of the map. Bit of a net worth lead here with 3K. Liquid, again, it's still a very, very close match between these two. It just seems like it's almost like a tennis match. The ball's just going one way and the other over and over again. Dota Plus-wise, though, 73% the way of OG. Though I say that, it may change very soon because Yuragi is going to be spotted for a moment, but just with the Drow and the Undying, it doesn't seem like you could really make the jump in.
Yeah, I think the issue right now for Liquid is holding Yuragi down. He managed to farm up the Ags. He's caught up here on the Slark quite nicely above of Matu's Drow now in terms of farm. And just with all the pounces available, we've seen how much of a struggle it is for Liquid to catch these heroes out with the saves. And now the mobility of Yuragi, I don't think you're going to be able to slay this Fishman anytime soon. What's the solution to kind of keep him locked in with how far he's come after such a slow start?
Yeah, the downside of OG's draft was the early game and the lack of initiation they had till the center blink. But at this point, the Slark might just go out of control. He got his items up. They have super good defensive supports to protect the Lash. It's quite tricky for Liquid to take a good fight now. They need the fight to be slow, play around the Tombstone, let the Pango control them. So that might be happening.
OG, 5-man smoke up, they'll move in. Insania, he does get the Tombstone down just before he gets caught out. Yuragi will happily get to work, but there's Zai with a very nice rolling thunder. BZM, he'll get disrupted. They'll try to save the day for this Leshrac as he does BKB up and run. Somehow Insania in the middle of all this is still alive, keeping the Tombstone up, and BZM, he cannot TP in time. In fact, Yuragi, he was left behind. Boxy will try to chase, but won't be able to keep up. They will let the Slark go, but it's still a great team fight now for Liquid.
Yeah, they work. The smoke comes out, they get the angle, and you know, OG, they feel confident going in there. They're the ones kind of trying to be aggressive, but if you can't kill off Insania, and even if he dies there, the Tombstone is already down. Liquid were ready to collapse on top. And they managed to get a good stun out from Mike, although.
Jump in, that's a big target, Mike. Can have the invis though with the Glimmer Cape as they go onto ATF. They'll try for the Centaur. Do they have the damage for this tanky man? ATF still taking through it. Matumba, he's been jumped on. Yuragi trying to do it all by himself. He'll get the Shadow Dance off. Yuragi's not done yet, but might have to back. He doesn't have the defensive play anymore. Liquid, they will do the same. Decent job of kiting out of that fight. It doesn't seem like you're quite at the level yet where you can actually deal with ATF to start off the team fight.
Radiant are scanning.
Amar has nice itemization as well. He has the Halberd against the Drow and the Lina, which counters these heroes really hard if you get it off first. And the Lina could just not hit there for a very long time.
Yeah, it's holding off that damage, and I think that was the big issue as well in that earlier fight near the cliff ward, where you were disarmed on Matu when he had an Aegis life, and he just couldn't hit. Even if, you know, even if he was hitting, he wasn't doing that much damage anyway. And just all the armor coming out now in Amar, like you mentioned, Mike, if you do try to jump Amar with a Frost Shield up, with a Plate Mail on top, with a Vanguard, he does last a long time. It's really disruptive. You have to watch out for him because his constant hoof stomps are just annoying.
I think the longer fights is what Liquid wants to look for. The fight they won earlier where Insania pops his ult and Tombstone, and the fight is a bit slower. They play around the Tomb and the Pengo roll. These are the fights that they can win. They are not weak at all. But if the fight is too quick, it's very hard. They cannot burst heroes. There's too much defense on OG. If they could somehow kill these supports first, would be the best. But it's quite tricky for their backliners to get that close.
It's interesting you say that they want a longer fight as well, right? Because you're against Yuragi's Slark, which I would assume with the Essence shifts just being stacked up, I would assume it would kind of go the other way. In fact, hold that thought, because Zai is going to make the jump in onto Misha. They've got the dust up, so the Glimmer Cape not going to do enough. Tiger is there with the disruption though. Meanwhile, towards the north, ATF, they're going to try once again onto the Centaur, but he is going to be able to stampede away towards the south. Who have they gone on? Boxy, he's going to BKB run. Mickey trying to chase. They want a target. They found a couple. They've got Tiger and they've got Misha. 2 supports to drop from OG. This is the fight Liquid want now. Problem is all the cores have already left the building.
Yeah, it's the targets you mentioned. You know, they managed to take the supports. They tried to collapse on top from OG. It doesn't feel like Liquid can do too much with this opening though, but they do manage to take control back of their jungle. And I think ideally this is what happens at the start of the fight, right? Just find these 2 supports and go from there.
That's the dream for sure. This fight is very nice. Now they have control of the jungle. The Roche is alive, and they're looking to capitalize on these supports being dead right now.
Roshan, such a big target to go for here. Would try to get started. Oh, Yuragi is going to make a bit of a jump in, but can pounce out. Still, they are going to chase with the gust. It will connect, but they don't have the lockdown. Yuragi going to be okay. He's just trying to slow down this Roshan timing. Problem is, it's so hard to fight against that Tombstone. The Yuragi, he's going to pounce in. It's too early, though. He's still going to try and force the fight with the Shadow Dance, but they're not aiming down Roshan. Or are they? Disruptions there, but Matumba, he's got the Aegis up. Yuragi, still alive somehow, gets the pounce away. He will make it out for now as Misha will be the target that they go for, and they even found BZM. In fact, ATF, he got left behind as well. It's a decent attempt, but maybe just a little bit too early, and Liquid, they just play around it very well.
It just goes back to that AoE, right? You feel so confident on the Slark with 2 pounces around. He dances a bit. He gets caught inside the pit with a toss back, and the roll just comes in. His team was pretty far to try to save there.
Yeah, it's quite tricky. It's a very nice attempt. He didn't even die there on the Slark, but he kind of forces his team in there. It's a very close fight though. If it goes a little bit different here, maybe Centaur picks up the Aegis and the fight is different, because the Slark did not die here. But these fights are very hard to say. It's a very small thing. If Centaur gets it there, maybe the fight is different. It is on top of a Tombstone, so it's a really nice spot for Liquid to fight, because it forces the OG supports out of position if they want to get in there.
That's one thing I didn't notice as well. BZM was just caught out the whole time by Mickey and just bursted down on the left rack. So you kind of had your eyes on Yuragi, but BZM had just been caught out right in front of the Roshan pit. And without that added damage and control of the left rack, it's a bit rough to try and fight into the side of Liquid. As speaking of Liquid, they've got Gaben's Blessing, a double damage rune at the bot rune spot. It doesn't seem like they spotted out in the end, so it will be left for now. Right after Roshan, of course, as is standard, as is tradition. If they had that double damage, it would be a very fast tier 2 tower, but again, they just don't have the vision for it.
Yeah, it can still be a bit risky. There's some counterplay once the respawns are up from OG. And again, just back to that Lich that Celery mentions. Even just Frost Armor on a tower slows down your push massively. You're not going to be piercing through any armor on that as a Drow. So you just kind of have to throw your bodies forward. And this is stalling out really good for OG. They've managed to get the respawns back up. They can go for a defensive fight if Liquid forces an issue. For now, we'll just kind of keep that farm game up and keep holding up here.
Liquid has a long time left on this Aegis, and he'll probably try to use this timing. Mickey is going for a very cool build. He'll go for the Pike now, a bit of a later Pike. He just bought the Dragon Lance, but it should be very, very effective against OG's heroes.
Upside, they do find Yuragi. They're also having a look around north for the Shadow Demon, but he is going to be able to TP out. So Boxy unable to close the gap to find this position 5. Boxy and Zai eventually just going to back their way out. I think you mentioned there's plenty of time for the Aegis to expire, so no real rush for them. They'll just take a bit of farm here, farming time for Liquid. 11 to 22 though, 4K advantage the way of Liquid. Still feels like an extremely close game between these 2 teams. But for now, OG definitely on the more defensive side.
Yeah, it will come down to how these fights go. If it's a bit of a longer fight where Liquid can stall out the defensive spells from the OG support, it should be very good for them. OG can get the jump and focus the right targets in a short amount of time. it all comes down to the initiation right now, who they can jump. But for now, OG should look to just stall out this Aegis, farm up more items. It's still a very good Slark game. The more items he gets, it's going to be very scary for this Lina and this draw.
What's the right target for OG to find? And we've seen Amar get some really big jumps. We know Taiga can kind of set up and save as well. But what's the priority when you're OG dealing with Liquid right now? Who has to go first?
Yeah. Oh, light strike away lands. Mickey. Perfect stun out. Gonna keep moving in, but the halberd was there to slow him down as ATF. How can you get out of this one? Stampede is there. There's no way ATF. He's trying to run, but the shield crash slows him down, and eventually he will drop. Very nice stun from Mickey.
Oh, that's a big one. Just checking the tree line, man, just to find him. And again, without the Centaur and with Stampede popped as well, you've got the window here for Liquid to play without Aegis. Push more objectives, maybe just take control of the bot jungle, look for a skirmish if you so feel. OG not going to stay clumped up for that, just work the map as best as they can. And for OG, as you mentioned, it's all about stalling here, Celery. Any big items immediately available for Uragi that you'd like to see to kind of help him deal with these scores?
Not an expert on the Slark items. He had Basher queued up, but
Uragi, jump in. He found Matamba. Still very confident is Uragi. With that Shadow Dance, he'll keep going for a little bit more. Take some stacks away, just pounce his way back up. But Liquid, they're moving back in. Tiger immediately bursted down. The high ground defense gets more difficult as Liquid, now in a 4v5 situation in their favor, will continue onto the tier 3 tower. And we keep saying it, but while the tombstone's up, it feels just impossible to try and fight into. Amar, he'll still jump in. They do find the Lina, but Boxy, he's in with a double stun once again. Misha, he'll gate the Chain Frost off, but it's not going to matter. It will bounce around and do nothing as they found Uragi. BZM, he's going to be able to TP up, but Liquid, they're still onto that tier 3 tower. I'm not sure if OG really want to try and buy back for this.
There's no pressure, right? Like, tier 2 still stand, you lose a lane or Axe, trying to go for the end game here with the respawns, not really within the zone for Liquid, but you have an amazing time on Liquid's end. You still have the Aegis, gonna be expiring soon. You take one set of racks, you find that punishment. Like Amar, he tries to find that angle, it just doesn't pay off. For OG here, Celery, you saw that the way that fight unfolded. You mentioned it's all about initiation. Who is the priority for Amar? Because it's feeling a bit tough.
Oh, Decay again. It seems like that's the priority, though. ATF, he can stun all he wants. The problem is he doesn't have the backup as he's getting slowed up here. The Stampede, it's already over. All the stacks of hypothermia from Matumba Man just going on to Amar as he's trying to run with the Glimmer Cape, but they keep slowing him down. This Centaur just cannot walk away as BZM. They're going to try. It might be the last time here for the side of OG to try and give this a crack, but how do they get it done? It doesn't look good. They've got a couple buybacks, but with the racks under siege now, they'll be holding on to one more unless Liquid want to keep going. They could certainly try for those tier 4 towers if they wish, but will they? Uragi, he's going to back off. Mickey, he's trying for the tier 4 towers. The Frost Shield is going to slow them down just a little bit, but that's all they can pretty much do here, OG. There's the buyback from ATF. That'll be enough for Liquid, I think, or will it be? They'll keep going onto the tier 4 towers. It's still a 4v5 situation. BZM is not available yet. Matumba, he's the target. He's got the BKB up, though. It's too hard to take the fight. Uragi in that Shadow Dance, in big trouble. Misha already down. Uragi controlled up. He is gone. GG is called. Liquid, what a dominant start to this best of 3 series. It was a bit back and forth as the game went on, but it seemed like Liquid, after they got that secondary Aegis, they just took over completely in this game 1.
Yeah, and it was a pretty slow start as well for OG there, right? Like, the lanes didn't quite go out the way you expected. Uragi had a really rough time. We saw that 5 kills from Zai, all on Uragi from the laning phase. And it was just tough. For OG, what do you feel like needs to be changed up a bit here before game 2, Celery?
We should also give props to Liquid. These last few fights, they really played well around the 4 steps. This Lina at bottom, he turned around at the perfect time when they jumped him. They forced him out, and they set up the fight perfectly. It looked like a really good jump for OG, but these 4 steps disrupted everything. I think for OG, they should pick a little bit more early game. I think their draft, they actually got off to a good start, but it might be tough in the next time. In the next game, if they go for a similar style.
Well, with that, let's head over to our panel and see what they have to say about this game number 1.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. We have a lot to say about this game number 1. Of course, Team Liquid took it here. We'll be going to a second game to see if OG can force out that third. A lot on the line. I don't need to tell you guys, but I will tell you anyway. Top 6 if you win the series, and otherwise you'll be left behind at 8. Here to break the game down, we got Jenkins, Lacoste, and Effie. Effie, this game, it started out with Liquid doing fairly well in the early game.
Fairly well. I think they completely popped off in that early game. And honestly, Boxy, throughout the entire tournament and in this game, just played such a good and aggressive roaming support. He was constantly mid, constantly bottom. Felt like he was everywhere in those first 10 minutes, really giving Liquid the start that they needed. Because Lina had this Marcy to play with, Leshrac was never too much of a threat in terms of keeping up in farm or being strong enough to really exploit the Lich armor strat that OG really wanted to play with. Because if you look at OG's draft, they picked the Shadow Demon, right? And it's kind of an unusual Shadow Demon pick because the only thing that it really synergized with was to set up the stun on the side lane with Centaur, but it was more so a deny pick so they don't get their armor purged off. So I assumed that potentially they were looking for something where they could pair up an illusion carry with the Shadow Demon, but they ended up going for the Slark and they pivoted completely. So for OG to have won this game, they really needed to just win the side lanes really hard and try to stall for as long as possible. And honestly, it looked good for them at some points, but Liquid were on today.
Yeah, Mickey on Lina, constantly on top of the net worth. As Effie mentioned, Boxy did enable him with those earlier rotations. But like Mickey is a type of a player that, you know, he's gonna take the farm, take some of the kills, and then dominate the game from start. He was on top of the network from the beginning until the end of the game, and yeah, I loved his itemization. This Falcon Blade from mid Lina does allow you to constantly spam your abilities and stay on top of the network. But I also want to point out Zai Pangolier. Pango was not a hero for a long time that could be played on the offlane to be successful. Like, people did try it out, but every single time, I think offlane Pango at one point during the group stage was 0-7, maybe even 0-8.
Yeah, I believe I heard this stat before.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah, people figured out how to play Pango because, like, you need to have like decent matchup. He's not a strong laner, but I like the items that Zai went for. You know, going for this raid pact and just a casual blink dagger, because you have shield crash and the raid pact. You can be in top of the fight, middle of the fight, and you're not going to be taking literally any damage. Yeah,
it was a strong game from Team Liquid. There were a couple of records close to being broken for Matuma Jenkins. His drought performance obviously very strong. He has a good team to back him up. Had a very good time. We got some statistics for Matuma on his, well, basically on his TI performance, because his Drow Ranger got him there here today. He is now
That's
second.
right, Cheever. This is the most all-time total kills. I thought it was Roshan kills we were gonna. Okay,
No.
that's way more.
He's not second. I lied.
This is a way more impressive stat than Roshan kills, which I think we're gonna look at. I'm spoiling a little bit.
No, it's fine. His Roshan kills were at 80, but I thought that this one was a little bit more interesting.
That's a spicy one. This one is, I mean, it actually kind of goes hand in hand in the sense that the carry wants to get that last hit on Roshan, get that little extra influx of gold. One thing I did want to mention about this game, just because I couldn't get out of my head watching it, was that crit interview where he was basically saying that, like, kills don't matter as much and in Dota, and it seemed a little bit like that at the start, where like OG was making no moves, they weren't farming, or they were still out farming, while Liquid was making all of the moves but getting nothing from it. Then they eventually took the Roshan, and then that made the game look a lot easier for them.
They really did make the game a lot easier for them. They were able to capitalize on it. And at the end of the day, it was OG, maybe also with a little bit unusual draft. We had not seen them play Leshrac yet, for example. And speaking of Leshrac, I believe that is a hero that Purge would like to talk to you more about.
That's right. Leshrac is one of the big heroes of the main stage so far. And the hero wasn't super popular before this, and he's still just decently balanced. But the big issue is the item that he uses. It's the Bloodstone. Bloodstone gives Leshrac almost everything that he needs. It gives him HP, it gives him mana regen effectively. When he pops it on, deals AoE damage, covers that base. And the third thing, it gives him really strong team fight, and at such an early time while also providing the other things. He can walk into fights like this, pop Bloodstone, eat CM multis, and it looks like he's taking 0 damage. So now you don't even have to worry about an enemy team exploiting your BKB less timing. And much like Shadow Fiend, a lot of teams have been pairing these like tanky magic damage dealing frontliners with defensive heroes, so that Lich armor helps keep him alive in the only way he can die, which is burst physical damage. The other hero that I really want to talk about that's still being trending, it's Crystal Maiden. We didn't see it this game because the slightly better supports got in instead, but she's just so effective at winning lanes. AoE nukes is going to apply damage to 2 heroes, secure range creeps, lower attack speed to make sure that trading goes better, and she also really applies really well kill setups, and in those mid-game team fights, she's great at setting up kills and providing really nice roots and other disables to ensure that you get some core pickoffs later on. And a lot of the cores as well, not very mobile, making her more survivable. So those are the 2 heroes that I think are worthy of being added into the Hall of Heroes to join Marcy, because frankly, they have lots of appearances since the main stage. Maybe the group stage, they weren't the most popular, but I mean, maybe it should be like a Bloodstone on a pillar instead of Leshrac, but this is fine too. Leshrac, you count. You have a great item just for you. Nobody else likes it. So yeah, that's it. That's the Hall of Heroes. So 3 heroes, many more to be added. Heroes of the tournament so far.
Heroes of the tournament for sure. Thank you very much, Purge. And the one that already was inducted earlier is, of course, the Marcy. And I mean, yeah, they think that's going to get bad next time around. I don't think there's any doubt about it. Boxy knocked it out of the park with that one. And yeah, we're going to find out, of course, what's going to happen in the second game of the series. But before we're going to do that, we are checking in with Slacks and Casey.
Yeah, we are continuing our journey through the audience to find as many people as possible. You're being a little creepy about it, though. I don't know if you've noticed that.
What are you talking about? I'm not creepy.
You
Am I
can see
creepy?
from a mile away.
I don't know.
Yeah.
See, he said he doesn't know. Okay, that's not unfortunate, but you know what's not creepy, my friend? Our cool-ass tats. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I found a bit of a celebrity here. Show the boys a holy moly! Straight from Dark Creek Prison. What is your name, sir?
Richard.
My goodness, that is the biggest, coolest tat I've ever seen. What prompted you to get the Slarky Malarkey?
I don't even play Slark, just looks cool, so you know.
Well, you're damn right about that, son. It looks cool as hell. Now, that's not the only one, right? We got another one down here. Oh, my God, the Bloodseeker as well. Ladies and gentlemen, a lot of people cosplay. This man's cosplaying every goddamn day. This boy, give it up for him. Real Dota fan. Oh, thank you very much. You know, I actually have a tattoo myself.
No.
Is that not good?
Back to you, back to you, back to you.
Take it easy. Come on.
Back to you, back to you.
The people want to see.
No, they do not.
Come on.
People don't even want to hear. Get out of here.
Okay.
Get out of here. Thank you very much, Casey, for preventing eternal trauma, I think, on a lot of people's...
Could have been a ban as well, I think, the channel. We cannot be coming back to you here.
Close to a ban with the Slark tattoo, which is top-notch, by the way. That was high-quality tattoo for sure. And Slark, we also saw, of course, in the previous game just now, did lose. But we don't get to see Slark in the meta that frequently, so I think a win is a win. You got him on stage. That's as far as it's gonna get for now. Maybe Matumaman is also a very good Slark player. That's how he got known with them. Anybody remember 4 anchors and a sea captain?
Oh, that was so
yeah,
long
back
ago.
in the day.
Was that the finish stack? The full finish stack?
It was a lot of fins. Yes, it was a lot of fins.
That was
for sure.
a play on the 4 friends plus Krilly, right?
Yeah.
that was the
that
original.
one also rings a bell. But I feel like Slark was not able to, like, do what he's supposed to do in the game, because he was never like this new build on Slark works really well when you get to the point with the Aghanim Scepter, recent changes to pounce, or you do get your Essence Shift stack instead of doing the damage, and then like you want to poke, you want to go in and out picking up the shard, so you want to reset the fight, but there was never really like a follow-up, because the rest of the team needed to go in, use the BKBs, and you know, just play with the team, and didn't just shoot the way that they needed to play to be able to win that game. And like also having some AoE control as well. Pango does quite a lot, and so does Lina with the LSA. Like they did manage to control the Slark.
But not only that, right? In regards to the Slark, he bought a Midas, and that's typically what a lot of Slark players have been doing, and you do see it work out. And the problem with the Midas is that you're going to slow down really hard versus a team like Liquid, who are going to look to exploit those timings. And because you're playing with a Centaur and Shadow Demon, those heroes don't do that much damage, honestly. So when Amar did get the Blink Dagger, there was that one really great fight in the top lane where he set up for 2 kills, and it looked nice, but that was about it for a while, right? Up until the point where Liquid overextended all the way to the bottom of their jungle early on. there weren't really any fights that looked great for them, and everything was just too slow. So I didn't see the innate synergy in that Shadow Demon within the draft, right? I have more of an issue with that than I do with the Slark.
Now, we know that OG has got a good support system around them, so when we're talking about potentially coming back, forcing that third game, it's not going to lack on speeches, Jenkins. I think they got that covered.
Yeah, well, the unfortunate thing for OG is we have heard from Amar in the past that he does indeed not listen to those speeches, and they're a bunch of bullshit, basically. But, you know, OG, they have a lot of ideas when it comes to drafting and how to, you know, play the game better. I actually think that the Lina plus Drow looked really strong against Leshrac. It's just two heroes that you run into on Lesh. You're like, I'm going to run in Bloodstone. And it's like, okay, we'll kill you. You're not even going to Bloodstone off of us. Their range is too long to Bloodstone off of them.
That's why Terrorblade is considered the counter to Leshrac to one extent. Because before, you know, people thought, oh, I'm just going to pop that, you know, my ulti, run in. But Terrorblade, like, he hits his timing, especially the Scotty timing, where you're unable to get close to him. He just outranges you. And if you have an extra hero like they did, Drow Ranger plus Lina, you just take way too much damage and die. And we can hear in the comms also just yelling, Lesh, Lesh, Lesh.
Lesh, 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 and that Lesh died quite harshly. It was, of course, first phase pick coming out from OG. We're going to find out soon what will be the openings for our second game, as we are seeing the teams taking their places back on the stage here at the Suntech Arena. It is a lot that they are playing for. I want to highlight again the friendship that they have. I think that is forgotten at this moment, though, because there's only one thing that counts, and that's the game. They're going to be full focus coming out on this one with, of course, Matsumamani. He is. We're going to see at least 2 more games guaranteed for Matsu, so that's always good. You know, we're having Faith Beyond, of course, also in the lower bracket, another player that has the retirement looming. And the longer we can get to see them, the happier we'll be, Effie.
I mean, it's just really sad, right? Regardless of which team wins, there's no way we're not going to be upset. I mean, today is just a really brutal day.
It is. It is. I mean, we can only take 4 teams with us to finals weekend, and there were 8 teams remaining at the start of the day, so we need to cut it in half.
I mean, that's the nature of TI. The teams that you love, the players that you love to follow are going to be, you know, brutally crushed, and they're going to have their spirits broken, and so will you as a fan. Except for the winning team, and nobody knows who that's going to be.
Unless you hate 19 teams, you're going to be sad like at least 10 times.
That's really, yeah. There's obviously more teams losing than winning. That will always be the case.
I would hope so. I would hope so.
There's many more teams that lose than win. But I mean, when you think about it, it's really brutal because all of these teams come into this competition with these enormous dreams and these enormous hopes on their shoulders, and they're all feeling that's such a what if. What if it's us this year? What if it's our year? And when it isn't, when you suffer that loss on the main stage, it is so crushing.
Absolutely, because we did have so many underdogs storied throughout the TI history that, you know, even coming in prior to TI where you didn't do like as good as maybe you expected, but in this TI, you're like, you have a mindset that you're going to win the whole thing, otherwise you're not going to win it.
Yeah, that's the most soul-crushing thing about it, is that if you don't believe, you won't be good enough, you won't be confident enough to beat the people that do believe. So that makes it all the more soul-crushing when they lose.
That's deep, Jenkins. That's really deep.
But speaking of confidence, something we briefly touched up on earlier but didn't really discuss at length was...
Well, it is time. Hold that thought, Effie, because we're getting into the draft for the second game of the best of 3. Let's get started with that.
Liquid versus OG. Game 2.
I think the majority will agree that we would love to see a third game between these 2 teams, as they have been playing some very entertaining Dota, and it would be sad to see either of them. And in this case, OG, of course, exited in a 2-0 against a team they are so familiar with. We know they can do it. It would be soul-crushing if indeed they don't do it.
Yeah, she I have a really good point to make here.
Okay, go for it.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Effie.
No, Jenkins, I really want to hear a really good point.
Yeah, what I wanted to say is... just kidding.
Lacoste, please say the thing. Nothing?
Do a joke. Do a joke.
I do have to point out, by the way, Marcy is still in the pool. Sorry.
Hey, as you were. As you were.
And not anymore.
Okay. So the thing is, you look at OG, I don't think we've given these young players enough credit yet just for how they've played on this main stage, because you look at OG and this is a 2-time TI winning organization. So you look at it as if it's just a veteran team sitting on the stage, but it isn't. It is not. There are 4 first-time TI players here, and they're all so young, and they all must be so nervous compared to Liquid, who are all veterans. I mean, I really do think that...
I'm sorry.
What's happening?
Look at his stack of papers. Why does he have so much paper? I know it's an OG meme, but does he need that much?
Stop putting on camera. It's so distracting.
Also, what does he do to the papers? It's not like he's
He
making
can't even see
airplanes.
anything on it.
There's some,
He's for real, though. That's the thing. He's for real. I remember Seb telling me at the major that or actually Amar told me he sleeps for only 4 hours because sleep is a waste of time. And then Seb was like, please tell him to sleep, please. I've been trying to convince him to sleep for 8 hours. He won't do it. This is real. These are actual draft papers.
Hey, it's got him to top 8 at TI. Don't make fun of the boy. And he is one of the youngest players here. This is incredibly impressive that he has that much prep to begin with.
Yeah, James, I don't see any papers.
I don't see any papers on your desk.
I'm not making fun of him. He's like an eccentric billionaire type. You know what I mean?
That's true. That is very true.
He's like just does this crazy things, but he's so good. That's what's funny about this.
That's very true.
It's like this is a bit, but it's not. This is real. This is his real notes. It's amazing.
It is amazing.
Good for him. We respect the grind over here.
We do.
But
sleep,
he should.
You should take a note, Jenkins, and do the prep next time.
Go ahead, Effie.
I don't even know what I wanted to say anymore. You go,
They got the
Jenkins.
Leshrac Tuskar combo. Tuskar hero that we were seeing a lot more. Wow.
We
Okay.
have Tuskar and Huskar.
Yeah, that's an Amar specialty right there. We're going to see some offlane Huskar today, it looks like.
It is an MR specialty. I gotta talk about this because the start of the tour, the start of the season, start of Tour 1, everybody's like, OG picked up these youngsters, Misha as a captain. We only saw him as a coach until that point. Taiga joined them and was like, how far can this roster go? And then this Huskar came out for Amar and he crushes with it. It's one of his best heroes.
He definitely knows this hero to the limits and how to play it. And we see this all the time in these game twos, these potential elimination games.
Comfort.
That's when the comfort pick comes out. The pick that you've won so many games on, you just ask for it and you go for it. We saw it with the sniper yesterday. We've seen it with Pudge. Now we're going to see it with Huskar.
Yeah, we heard Fate Beyond also talking about, this is the potentially last game of the tournament. We better pick our comfort heroes. They did pick Axe for himself.
It worked.
And it worked really amazing. So this is what OG is doing here. Maybe it's time to get rid of Pudge Jenkins. Pure damage against the Huskar, Aghanim Scepter, reducing some healing. They did ban out Shadow Demon and Ancient Apparition, so for now they are protecting this Huskar pick.
I'm very excited for this.
You know, though, you know what else is good against Huskar? Bit of sniper action.
That is true. That is very true. And both Sniper and Pudge, Liquid does like him.
Sometimes at the same time as well.
True.
And I'm more confident in this Leshrac on the side of Liquid than when OG do play it, to be honest. And they got Boxy, one of his comfort heroes, the Tusk. We saw how effective he was and his ability to coordinate with his mid laner last game, so I expect to see a lot of the same collapses on mid happening. And depending on how well this Leshrac does, I think that it could be potentially very easy to just take that mid tower and potentially translate into kicking Huskar out of the triangle. You don't necessarily have to divert your attention, if you are the Tusk and the Lesh this game, to invading the jungle early. You can just choose and opt to park that triangle and not give Huskar a game.
What I like about Amar and the way he came into the scene is not caring about what he's playing against, because he's gonna first face Huskar and he's gonna get tested. He's gonna have this is good, this is bad matchup, but still he wants to play it. One of the reasons why he's so good, because he knows how to play from behind as well, and he knows the matchup. This man just grinds Dota.
I do have to say, though, Huskar, also a greedier type of hero.
Yeah.
He can't play that Blink initiator type of role up until he gets items later on, especially Ag Scepter, for a very long time. He needs to sit down and farm. He needs a somewhat advantageous lane, and he needs his team to be able to play without him for a while, especially if that lane goes badly. And of course, it's not a Wraith-backed hero. Again,
Classic,
OG don't have that hero to build the auras for them, so they're going to need to pick some very macro-intensive heroes for the rest of OG. I think BZM's Invoker yesterday was incredibly impressive. I mean, to this day, I think that was one of the master classes of Invoker and how to play on a bigger scale, not just how to click your buttons.
Yeah, he had 2 games where his Invoker was just insane, like 0 deaths.
Yeah, and also, first facing Huskar does put a lot of pressure on the other team. Because whatever you planned to pick, like, you're definitely not gonna go for it. Because there's this X hero on your screen that is screaming, oh, we need to
counter
address
it.
Like,
Yeah.
If you had like 3 different options of what you want to go for, probably you gotta throw it in a bin and just scratch it and start all over again.
But it seems like they're comfortable going for picks that they have already been playing, right? They bring out the Crystal Maiden that they've also played to success. Oh, the Ember comes out. Interesting. So this does play more of a macro game as well, but it is kind of dependent on a lane matchup too. It can't necessarily have a really bad lane or die a few times, and it can't do anything for Huskar in the case that does happen. So OG have to make sure that no gotcha pick comes out here from Liquid.
And I really like what Effie was saying too about actually what both of you were saying about like the way to deal with Huskar. Okay, so this is great because not only do they counter it in lane, which I think is a place that you can punish the offlane Huskar, it's also something that benefits from this guy being low HP for the entire game. Bloodseeker's going to be constantly hasted. Once he gets that BKB, none of these OG heroes will really deal with him. So that's like a perfect pick.
Yeah.
And also,
go ahead.
Huskar.
No, go ahead.
No, just the early rush that Huskars tend to go for, Huskar teams try to set up for with the armor toggles and whatever, you will get vision of that from the Bloodseeker. So it exposes a lot of the map movements that you try to do there.
Look, you also do have decent roach-taking lineup with yourself. Having a tag team, Crystal Maiden, you know that the heroes will have enough mana plus Leshrac. So if you take a fight near Roshan, taking away Aegis from Huskar is kind of a big deal. But to go back to OG's side, they are drafting against this Tuskar. There are potentially rotations. So you have a cookie, you can get through the shards, so you can get a toss back. But a lot of those abilities are movement abilities. I'm not saying that Bloodseeker has, 4 rupture charges, but if someone is ruptured, like Huskar, this is not going to save them. This is going to deal a lot of damage to them.
Okay, so a hero that could stand and fight against the Bloodseeker as a carry. Sniper, he's still in the pool, but I don't know. It's weird. It's a little bit weird with these other heroes that OG has. Like, I almost feel like you need a playmaker just because your offlaner is a Huskar. So
OG's are greedy. They have these 3 cores that always do get a lot of farm. I think having Tiny plus Snapfire, you can always do something around the map, especially Snapfire, because this hero scales so well, and also Ember Spirit. He is a hero that can easily rotate, so I think you can fit in something greedy in here.
The thing about Tiny is that in the past, it felt a lot easier to play this Tiny and get that early blink and get those kills, because the way that you play this hero now is most 4 Tinys just buy the phase boots and they try to fight for the blink dagger. You will never get a lane, and a lot of players now know how to counterplay a Tiny. They know to not get tossed back in the lane. They know how to kite around it. So Tiny's job becomes a lot harder. And they are a little bit dependent on this Tiny's Blink Dagger timing too, if they're going to have the 2 supports be the crux of their map movements.
Yeah.
So I think somehow, maybe if these 2 supports can play around mid and try to secure Ember's game, then that could probably be OG's best approach into opening up the map for themselves, because you can't play against, you can't play for this Huskar early on, and I don't really think that you can secure this carry matchup.
Yeah, definitely. Like Ember, if he's got a good game, then yeah, he can be all of the playmaking that you need. But if OG does want to go for something that's a little bit less greedy for Yuragi, they actually have played him on the Broodmother. They've played Nature's Prophet, so there are options for him that are... SF is still unpicked.
But also kind of has a really bad win rate on the main stage.
Yeah, but you want some kind of fast-paced sort of carry that will win lane.
Sure.
I would be very scared for them if they went SF here, honestly. I think there's a lot of ways to get on top of it and punish it early on,
yeah,
especially when you have a Leshrac 2 who can easily move to SF's lane early on, kick him out, and take his tower. And the problem is OG can't secure this pick because Liquid have last pick. They have the last pick offlaner for whatever they go here.
Yes, so they need to show. I mean, if they need something that plays a little faster, Monkey King is an option, a hero. The problem is you don't know the lane matchup. And they did ban out Beastmaster, Death Prophet, because they are not the ones with the last pick, so like Death Prophet could suit in easily, especially with the Tusk combination, so this one makes a lot of sense and would give even more momentum to Liquid, so liking this last ban from OG quite a lot.
Really thinking about this one.
I really are. And this one is really rough. Because there are still a lot of Zai's heroes open in the pool. Obviously, the key one and Enigma being taken out and the Beastmaster, but they could still opt to go for the Tidehunter route.
Nature's Prophet coming out. We've seen Yuragi played against RNG in the group stages, and they did come out on top for that one.
I think this is probably the best thing that they could have done, because this is a really strong laner. It's going to be hard for them to give this hero or give the last pick hero on Liquid a good lane versus Nature's Prophet. Very few heroes can say that they have that. It can also join in the fights early on. We were talking about how OG needs to enable this Huskar to sit back in the triangle and farm, so they need a more active style of carry that can just teleport around the map, take towers, play with this Tiny if he does rotate to the mid lane.
It's fast-paced.
So, go ahead.
No.
Sorry.
Primal Beast is still in the pool.
In the pool, but I'm thinking about maybe Tidehunter. Something. I don't think you need to match up the team fight. It's cooldown dependent. On the other side, these heroes can fight all the time from OG, but I feel like maybe just pick it for the lane because you're playing with Tuskar. A lot of these ranged offlaners have been banned. Some heroes that Zai did play don't really fit into what they have right now.
Or a ranged hero like Viper, potentially.
I see a lot of smiles on this camera, by the way. There's some good vibes being spread around on the team.
Yesterday,
Drum roll.
Yesterday they said they wait as long as possible.
They have their pick figured out already.
And they like to troll Matsu, so they like to wait as long as possible with the reserve time. I think potentially they could go for some ranged offlaner with Tusk, maybe a Viper.
They go for the Brood. Ooh, that's an unexpected one.
Into Ember, which cleaves through all of the spiders and sleight of fist for about 30 seconds straight.
And the snap with the kisses and the Tiny, there's a lot of wave clear for the spiders.
But good in lane.
But Brood can do a lot in terms of moving around the map, like especially connecting her webs from whichever lane side of the map she decides to take over to Roshan.
Well, let's find out how it's going to get played out. We're heading over to Slacks first for an interview with the coach of OG. It's Chavash.
Thank you so much, Sheber. I am here with Chavash, of course. Big emphasis on the laning phase in this draft. It looks like that Huskar came out, but they answered with the Bloodseeker. Are you nervous at all by that counter pick? Do you think that might cause some issues?
No, only bro to make me nervous.
All right, doesn't make you nervous at all?
Just a bit.
Okay, just a little bit. Now, I was sitting right next to you when you saw that Broodmother last pick. Typically, coaches will go, like, oh no, it's Broodmother. But you, Stone Cold Giga Chad, are you worried in any way about that Broodmother?
A bit.
Okay, a little bit. All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, let's see if OG can take this one out and get us to our end game. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our casters.
Thank you so much, Lex. We do get into it. Game number 2 here between Liquid and OG. OG have brought out something different. Of course, Amar, the Filipino, the 16-year-old with 60 years of experience. John, talk to us about this hero.
It's the Filipino Huskar coming out from Amar, the Filipino, of course. Gonna have to live up to that TI legacy that happened last time with the Huskar. So keen to see what happens. You know, it's a bit left field coming out there from OG. Gonna be interesting to see just how much they can get. Of course, we have seen Amar play that Huskar multiple times before. So they should know what to expect. You know, it's really aggressive. They've kind of kicked up the pace here on OG in comparison to that game 1. So do you feel like the corrections here in draft are enough to kind of play this fast-paced game that Liquid has been bringing out?
This is still an OG-style draft, but it's a lot quicker and better in lanes, so I think they did a really good job. The interesting lane is probably going to be Huskar against Brood if they lane it like that. I'm not sure how that lane is going to go. Brood really wants to hit, but Huskar has a disarm, so that should be very, very interesting.
Wonder if there's level 1 team fight to come out. Looks like ATF is not interested whatsoever. Liquid, they might be more than happy to oblige with a level 1 team fight, but with OG's heroes, it doesn't seem like they've got the greatest level 1 team fight for now. Because with those Brood Mother stats, not bad at all. I mean, 64.3 and 57.1%, 60% overall wins. You heard Chu talk about it as well. It's the one hero that frightens him just a little bit. It didn't react too much to it, but it is still very scary. And as you can see, Zai, 100% win rate overall here on the Brood.
Yeah, he's had a fantastic time with a lot of heroes. Like again, yesterday we saw his Enigma take its first loss. It was on a massive win streak as well for Liquid while he was on that. So Zai's just been kind of setting that pace. I'm more interested to see Boxy back on that Tusk because he had an amazing time. Although
Tiger tossed up, that's a good start. Mickey, he's going to try to run. Shards are out as well. Boxy, he's very good on this Tusk. We saw it yesterday. It's going to be a lot of damage out onto the Tiny, but nothing to write home about. In fact, they even denied off the banner in here with Yuragi. So in the end, how many banner runes did they actually pick up?
2 for 1. Nice 2 for 1 start in the favor of OG, so they're going to be feeling a little bit better going into those lanes. Just have a little bit more to play with as we do take a look at that mid. Mike up against BZM on the Ember. You mentioned this, Ellery, it's not the worst laning matchup, right? Like the Ember can kind of dance around this. Do you reckon that overall BZM should have a better time, or should it draw kind of close to even here?
I think some Leshracs can win this lane when they're an expert at this matchup, but overall it should be a free lane for Ember and Lesh. They should both farm, and it's a really, really good Ember game. So even if he would slightly lose the mid lane, I think OG is perfectly fine with it, since there's almost nothing to lock him down in the mid game.
Bot lane, damage being dealt to Matumba, but gonna be no kind of jump in. Tiger, no angle here for the toss back into Amara, and it doesn't seem like he's more than happy to get fighting yet. Meanwhile, Boxy, a nice little creep pool going on here. Trying to reset the creep equilibrium on his side. Just let one creep through his bottom lane. ATF gonna take a fair bit of damage, but is gonna be okay in the end.
Yeah, he starts to drop low, and this is where the Bloodseeker starts to feel good. You don't have the thirst up yet. We do have a lot of early damage and slow is coming out from the side of Liquid, whereas for OG, with a Husker and a Tiny, it does feel like you need a lot of EXP, a lot of levels to really start to play here, doesn't it?
This bot lane is going to be very interesting, I think. If the Bloodseeker and CM get on top of this Huskar, they might just kill him. But if they don't kill this guy in time, and they get some toss backs on CM with the disarms, it could go either way, I think. I'm not sure how this lane should go, or what's going to happen.
Let's look at the top lane, perhaps. We haven't really talked about that one at all quite yet. You're going to have Boxy there on that. In fact, hold that thought. That's a lot of damage coming out onto the Tiny. We can have a look at the top lane, though. Boxy once again pulling a creep wave over. Misha unable to really slot down, but just try to get the aggro of the creep wave. Oh, he's got it as well. Very nice play from Misha, but what a great shards out from Boxy. In the meantime, Tiger does end up going down. I love the shards plays from Boxy. He's always got some kind of concept, some idea to try and get the advantage. And once again, we do see the pull work out in the end.
Yeah, they just get that EXP they need on Boxy, trying to get that build up, get the space they want for Zai. Yuragi, he can kind of twack away, but when you're in that field, when you're in the webs, Zai's not going to feel too scared of trading. You can always run up with Insatiable as well, especially if Misha's dragged away without anyone to stop the Brood. She can just kind of get on top of that NP if you're not careful.
Yuragi could be a fair bit of damage. He's just trapped up, standing his ground, trying to TP away, but the snowball is going to stun him up. Yuragi, he cannot make it out. It is going to be a very strong kill for the side of Liquid.
Very nicely done. This Brood is a lot stronger in lane now than what everyone's used to. With this insatiable hunger getting a lot of buffs, and the more levels it gets in it, the harder it's going to be in this lane. You would think it should be a chill lane for Frin, but they have a lot of kill potential.
Boxy, he never stops this bloke. Boxy's always going. Snowball not going to connect on Misha. They will still chase with Zai, but Misha is going to be okay. Getting a little bit greedier there with the snowball from Boxy, and sadly for him, it does not touch the snapfire.
Just trying to go for both targets, maybe shove Yuragi all the way back once more. Does give some room to go back for Misha, but it's all the way back to the base for him. Having to TP home, has to walk up with regen. You have that window for Liquid to still maintain that aggression up against OG here.
I think overall, it looks like a pretty good start for OG in the lane. The Ember is having a really good time mid. He's going more than even. He was doing a really good job on the first few waves. He really wants to get one water rune though. Looks like Liquid is not going to give it.
They certainly are not. Mickey does take it. How important do you think BZM's going to be here for the side of OG? Like, is he the guy that needs to create the space for Amar and Yuragi to kind of get that farm going? Or is it all on ATF to get that farm going? Does Yuragi just kind of join the team early?
I think this Ember will be making all the space. I think the Huskar and the Furren will be farming up. Furren will be ready to connect at any time. And this Ember has a really good game. So once he gets his level 4 in Slide, I think he'll walk around the map with his supports and cause havoc.
Yeah, I think that's the big one for OG. You have a lot of aggression that can come out. In comparison to game 1 where you were farming a lot more, trying to get that build up on Lush, you're not as worried with Ember. You just need a couple of items up and you should be good. Although Amar kind of being surrounded.
He certainly is. That's a lot of damage out. ATF, he's going to drop Mickey with a nice rotation as Yuragi top lane. Also going to go down. Once again, Liquid just dominating every single side lane of the map. We saw this last game as well. OG just off to a slower start.
And that's a bit worrying. You have a bigger snowball start that can come out here from Liquid with this kind of draft. And you've got Boxy back on that Tusk. He's got some good timings to meet as the support. And considering how good his lane is, he's probably going to have a pretty decent enough blink timing in this game if he's just allowed to kind of have this impact. You already have Yuragi going into the jungle. So you're just ditching out that Broodmother lane. But considering the space for Zai, and that's a lot of utility that he can just build into here.
Yeah, Chu said he was a bit worried about the Brood. Now he's a little bit more worried, I think, from this start. But the good thing OG has, if they can get some good power runs on this Ember, he can probably shift towards the Brood lane, and the Furren doesn't have to sit there, because it's going to be very scary for Furren.
Yeah, it can be really annoying. We're already seeing him shoved away. He's really behind in CS as well here for Yuragi in comparison. You just have such a dominating lane coming out from Zai. They are still trying to poke and prod down bot. You mentioned not quite knowing what you'd expect from the Huskar Titan lane. Do you think this is what you were expecting though? Like Matumba is still kind of finding farm. ATF not really able to stop that too much.
I guess it's kind of 50-50. They got a nice kill because Bloodseeker is getting a lot of speed from the other lanes. But I guess it didn't really snowball. I thought there was some snowball potential for OG if they got some good tossbacks, but it seems like the nukes from the CM and the Bloodseeker are enough to equalize the lane and just keep on farming.
Liquid, top 2 net worths on the board right now. BZ, or rather Leshrac, Mickey, and Zai. So strong of a start. See what they do get going. Like you almost expect another side lane gank very, very soon from the side of Liquid. But now they are paying respect to OG. Mickey just getting his own farm up. No rush for him. Zai just completely controlling the top lane as you do want to do on the Broodmother, and I imagine it's going to be quite a fast tier 1 tower to be taken here by this Brood. It doesn't feel like you've got the greatest ways of defending, though they are grouping up a bot lane. ATF in trouble once again as Matumba going to move in, but there's a split team fight going on. Top lane, another fight going on as well. ATF's going to be fine. It seems like Boxy's the one to drop up at top. BZM able to secure 1. Zai unable to secure the Snapfire kill. Instead, he will be forced to try and run away from BZM, but he's going to be just fine. OG, they do at least get a Tusk kill for their trouble.
Yeah, the more important thing is, now this tower would have already been dead if the Ember didn't go here. So he's going to slow down the Brood, and it makes a lot of space on the map. If this Brood gets his tower too quickly, he'll go to mid. He'll take over the entire map.
Shards. Gonna lock down Tiger once again. No way out, surely. He'll toss away. Matumba, he's got so much speed though, and Mickey really just there to make sure they can knock it up. Matumba man able to pick up another kill here on the Bloodseeker.
Yeah, you're feeling good in the blood. Matu's got a pretty free lane, Maelstrom being built up, Javelin already on hand. Bottom net worth of his own team in terms of cores, but he's pretty close to Zai and Mika's farm, which is almost kind of really out there, just not contested, especially Zai outside of that rotation up top. 5-1 start. Liquid, I mean, you mentioned that push potential coming out here, Celery. Top tier 1 still stands, so OG is still managing to find farm. You mentioned the tempo coming out from BZM though. He does have the overcorrosion up, and it looks like he is going to the Maelstrom. Is that all he's going to need? They are clumping down bot, maybe for a bit of a shove in. Matu is alone.
Matu, Avalanche there. Cookie is there to follow up as well. The Bloodseeker, a massive pickup here for OG, and it seems like Matumba Man has no way out of this one. Very nice setup here from Tiger. ATF very happy to secure that kill.
Yeah, very nice map movement. They're not trying to fight on mid. It would be very, very hard to take a fight there. They instead just kill the carry, and they just gave this tower that Liquid brought a lot of heroes for. Liquid is not slowing down though.
They certainly are not. Cookie away from Misha. Avalanche going to buy some space in the shards. Off the mark. Bit unusual here for Boxy to miss like that as Misha might still run. Mickey in the end going to be able to close the gap though, so it won't matter. They will still secure the snap fight.
Even though Liquid is off to a very good start, OG is doing a good job splitting the map, just farming up their items, not worrying and trying to overreact. Ember deals with the Brood. Huskar and Furin farm their timings, and once his Huskar hits his armlet, I imagine they'll try to use that for the smoke and potentially into Roche if they get a pick-off close to it.
EZM, bit of harassment up top, but he's just kind of playing around with Zai here, just taking more Spiderlings away from the Brood Mother. Always has a Remnant to go back to, though Zai really wants to try and bully him and try to make him use that Remnant. But now he's going to be forced to back off as Tiger and Boxy both rotating up towards the top lane. So they are going to back their way out. The BZM going to move in. In fact, hold on a minute. They've got Insania on the CM and Boxy. Also going to drop as well. OG able to find both supports here.
Yeah, they get some punishment. A bit of a forward foray coming out from the side of Liquid, trying to scout around, maybe drop some vision forward, and they do get punished. OG finding a little bit of a foothold, getting that build-up they'd want, especially on BZM, who is going to be kind of setting up and dealing with Broodmother's early timings with Maelstrom almost done. For the side of Liquid, and it does feel like they're also more than happy to just kind of farm a little bit here, though.
Yeah, they probably feel a little bit awkward about this Ember, because they really want to help their Brood and get this Ember out of there, but they just do not have the heroes to do it.
Tiger, mid lane, Avalanche will be out to try and dissuade them from going any further and work out in his favor. Back his way out just fine. An ATF around the corner just in case they need it. Speaking of ATF, his farm, it does feel like it's suffering quite a bit. In 4.3k net worth, he's got the armor up, so maybe he could try to fight with his team, but he's a little bit too far behind, I think. Well, OG, do you think they need to group up now and try to get these fights going, or is it okay for them to just sit back and maybe hit another kind of timing?
This Huskar hero is very tricky. Usually, if you don't know this hero that well like me, I think he has Armlet, I guess it's time to go. But this hero is one of the quickest farmers with Armlet. If he gets to just farm his triangle, just farm some camps. So Liquid does not want to let him just farm these camps. So if they can close down the map, then that should be really good for them. OG does want to use this Huskar at some point. Either let him farm a lot right now, or he can move into the Roche. But it's looking pretty hard with how the map is set up.
Yeah, I mean, just the movement of Liquid. They've taken over the top jungle. They're starting to pressure onto mid. There's no real space for OG to farm. In fact, Taiga
gets caught out. Better than ATF getting caught out, though. He'll tank the gank here for the Huskar. ATF going to stick around. In fact, there is some rotations coming in. You've got Misha on the side. Just making sure they protect that tier 2 mid tower, as you do have a Leshrac and a Broodmother after all. You can take that tower very, very quickly if you are Liquid. But for now, they'll be satisfied with the Tiger kill.
Yeah, it's not the biggest in the world, but again, they're getting so much space out. They've taken over top jungle, the webs are all down, Zai can dance in and out there. Triangle, it's not somewhere that they have really gotten to. OG does have wards watching, but they're not also able to stack up as much and build the resources up for their own build-up. Right now, Yuragi is just kind of farming in the opposing triangle anyway, and just trying to avoid as much, but it's only him that can kind of go out there. Everyone else stuck with getting what they can from the creep waves right now.
Yeah, the OG cores are not suffering too much. They're doing a really good job. One hero that's really not having a nice time is this Tiny. He's very, very low level. Getting up this blink is going to be near impossible. There's nowhere for him to farm at all.
Tumba, bottom lane, going to move in. ATF, he'll cop the rupture. He's kind of forced to man fight this one out, but there's surely no way. He will try with the life break, but it's going to be nowhere near enough. Mickey able to secure the kill. More rotations, BZM chains out, Matumba, he's a big one, and they will find him. The Bloodseeker is going to drop as OG, looking for a bit more. With the Mortimer's Kisses, they'll find Insania on that Crystal Maiden. That'll be a second as Boxy now, trying to TP up at the chains with the toss-in, is going to work out in the favor of OG. It's Liquid, they do find one, but they give up 3.
Yeah, that's a huge swing coming out from OG. Seeing that opportunity to punish, still having that TP point to play with, and just managing to know that Matu is really vulnerable there. Doesn't have Rupture to threaten with. His teammates all kind of use their spells as well. They've got the opportunity to push off the back of it. There was a bit of a split push going up top from Zai, but not as fast as what OG's accomplishing down bot. And this does open up the map a little bit more to get some more gold flowing their way.
That was a very cool move they did. They pick off the Huskar, and Liquid felt very safe after that. The Bloodseeker is just farming the lane, but OG is just ready. They're not afraid. Their Huskar died, but they're just there. Snap did not even have 6 yet. He gets 6 from that kill. That's super good for it to come back for them.
Mid lane, Mickey, all alone right now. They're going to move in. That's a lot of damage coming out with the snowball. It's going to buy a bit of time. Mickey going to try and turn here, but there's surely not enough damage. He will drop. Matumba going to try and punish. Misha is down. How far can you go? They find another. BZM, he does take down Boxy, and it's going to be another successful team fight the way of OG.
This Ember is popping off right now. He's getting all the kills. He's involved in all the fights. And they just have no stuns to kill him yet. It's going to be quite hard for them to deal with him.
Yeah, like you mentioned, it does feel like a fairly free Ember game here. And every single time that BZM just shows up, it doesn't feel like they can handle him. Maybe you could try to Rupture to threaten, doesn't feel the best against the Ember, and your supports are gonna have to try to focus in on that highly mobile target, maybe try to set up for Mike. And again, it's not an easy task. Even game on the kill board, 9-9, it does feel like Liquid, they've managed to drop a little bit of some momentum. OG, they are starting to ramp up off the back of BZM. He's got travel sub. He's ready to just be all over the map.
That's a very cool build. You don't see that very often nowadays.
BZM, speaking of the devil, does get caught out. Bloodright is there. He might be gone, and he will be. Oh, that's a bit of a caster's curse there from you two. That wasn't my fault. I'm out of this one.
Frostbite just a little bit too strong.
Yeah, and that's the one hold, right? If one of the supports can be on top and you've got some sort of follow-up, you've got the space to kind of get that done. With that kill, Liquid straight into Roshan here as well, popping everything to take out that objective. OG not quite in the position to contest without that Ember.
Yeah, that's a massive kill for them. It's true, the Frostbite can still control the Ember. If the Ember has any fight and any vision, he will have free reign. But it was amazing. The pickup was next to Roche. They get to take the Roche, and now they should be able to control it. They need to deal with the lanes first. They shouldn't go on the enemy jungle yet. Just push out the lanes and potentially group up again after that.
That's where the Nature's Prophet really shines. Yuragi is just applying some pressure, trying to force movement alone.
Nice shots out. They're going to find Tiger on the Tiny. He'll try to toss away Boxy, but it won't make a difference. Tiger's still caught and will drop.
1,000 of your kind.
Very interesting build by the Furion as well. He went the drums first and then a Mage Slayer.
Under attack.
Yeah, it does feel like he's focusing more on maybe just trying to split push control into a Bloodtorn for some more damage output later on, and just mitigate whatever Liquid might want to pump out here, and maybe instead relying on the damage coming out from Amar, coming out from BZM with a Husker and the Ember, and just kind of play more of a secondary role, buying out space and map, eating up that split push when he can, and just slowly but surely ramping up those resources for down the line. It does feel like this kind of build might not show as much in the middle of these rotations, though.
Oh, Misha, wrong place, wrong time. He's going to get caught out, and the Spiderlings will get to work, though. That is a lot of damage coming up. BZM just stealing all the Spiderlings away is now Boxy still trying, but they will eventually find him. It's going to be a 1-for-1. Zai needed to back up earlier on as he just didn't want to deal with the whole side of OG, so it's just going to be a support for a support trade.
Interesting. Taiga is not even trying to go for the blink. He was getting somewhat close, but he just opted to buy a Veil instead and fully play around the Ember, not commit his hero too deep in the fight.
Yeah, I think they realize they've got enough jump in.
They just got some.
Yeah.
Fight to save. 1 HP, 1 HP. Finishing guys. Fast. I was standing again in 3 seconds. Oh, bloody. They just got some.
He did use the Bloodstone. That was a very good call.
Very true.
Radiant
We'll smoke up. Liquid. In they go. Boxy, he'll frontline. ATF. This is a big one. The Husker in trouble. Snowball will be there. The Splitter is out as well, and ATF is just going to melt. No chance survival for ATF.
They get a big one. Didn't even manage to arm the toggle. Good chain stuns coming out from the side of Liquid, and because of that kill, they have the security to force onto an objective. They've still got Aegis for 2.5 minutes here as well, but they're not even playing around with Mika. Just having Matu stand up front with the protection of his BKB and force OG to kind of make a choice. They're clumping around here, but it doesn't feel like they could find a clear angle if they're not careful.
Yeah, you talked about the Furion splitting a lot. The Lesh adjusted his build a bit. He had the Ogre Club first, but he went for the Travels to deal with the splitting.
Good. Still grouped up. Mid lane BZM. Tiger, Nisha, they're all there. Shard's gonna give it a bit of vision. Robsha immediately out onto the Ember, but he's just fine to back his way out. Tiger and Misha still hanging around, but outside of vision. Instead, they find Yuragi on that Prophet, but the cookie away is going to be enough as Tiger makes the jump in onto Foxy, but Foxy, he'll jump right back in onto that Tiny. It should be a 1-for-1, but they still haven't got that Tiny down yet. In fact, now they do, and they found Yuragi on the Nature's Prophet. They even found Misha. Matumba, he loves these kind of team fights. Everyone just dropping low. He can rush forward every single time. And OG, they're still not ready with the Husker.
The big thing for Liquid there as well is that Matu doesn't have to pop the BKB in these fights. He has a fresh 9-second charge just not being utilized because he doesn't need it. So the next time around, if OG wants to re-engage, they have a huge window where Matu is just going to feel too big. You're not going to be able to touch him. The Ember's damage is not going to be there. And Liquid, they just see all these opportunities. They're taking this map on really well. They've got a 5K lead up. We are seeing Amar kind of try to use the space to farm up, working towards the BKB. But
I think they spotted them with the daytime.
Uh-oh, ATF, he does get caught, and he's gonna get taken out. So close yet so far. Liquid, they are looking very strong now. 5K advantage, 17-11, and we yet to see this Husker work.
Yeah, the impact just isn't quite there. He's still busy kind of trying to farm up. You mentioned Celery, you know, once the armlet's up, maybe you're much more willing to fight. You just go back to going back farm. And again, that unfortunate timing on spotting out in the vision for the side of OG, but very fortunate for Liquid finding the punishment. For Amar, where do you go from here? Is it really just the BKB? Is that it? As they look for more.
They are going to look for more top lane. Tiger is going to get caught. Matumba able to pick up his 4th kill. As in they go mid lane. Misha trying to cookie in. BZM, he'll join the fray, but can you actually fight this? It doesn't feel like it. Foxy's too tanky. Zai, he'll keep chasing, but BZM will run it away. Still, they continue the chase. The slow is there. BZM, how do you juke your way out of this one? He'll just run south. He has a remnant north. Liquid, they're going for tier 3 towers. They know how strong they are right now.
The Ember is still having a great time, but Liquid realizes it's only the Ember. They do not have to be afraid of these other 2 cores yet. They didn't hit any timings. And this Ember cannot 1v5. He's not big enough. Liquid is really high net worth from all their 3 cores.
Dire's top tower has fallen.
What's the condition now for OG? I mean, Liquid, they've been playing fantastic, but for OG, how do they hold? They're going for a smoke play. Is it pickoffs they need as they look?
Yeah, speaking of pickoffs, Foxy gonna go in with a snowball. A nice blood ride set up from Matumba. Does he want to fight this one? He got the silence onto BZM, so they might be able to afford to try it. In fact, the stun's out as well. He bashes the perfect time into the split earth, but it's not right on time. Very close from Mickey. Great attempt. At least for OG, they do get away with the support kills. Now, Mickey, pretty deep, does get caught out, is getting blocked as well by the Treants. Will still move back in onto Tiger. They'll find the Tiny. In they go onto Yuragi. Through the BKB, they've got the Rupture. Yuragi surely can't find his way out. He'll get bashed up. Into Misha they go now. Liquid, they won't keep going. ATF does show up. A buyback will be expended as BZM does at least find Insania and Tiger. He'll get back into the game, but this buyback, it doesn't feel like it amounts to much.
The tricky thing is, getting back into the game is quite hard right now. They really want some skirmish fights and some pickups, but the Tiny doesn't have a blink, so they don't have any tossback potential. The Huskar is getting closer to his BKB, so they might just have to try to wait for it. He might have a little bit of space to farm it right now, but Liquid is not slowing down, so they might just take back the map very soon, once Lesh's BKB is ready again.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like there's any big reason for Liquid to back off. They've managed to force out some buybacks. They haven't really taken any objectives just yet as well. The high ground still does stand. So you still have a lot to go for in these lanes. Maybe wait out the security of next Roshan. Only a few seconds left until we see that respawn timer, though.
Yeah, Zai's still very, very confident. He will lose the Spiderlings. BZM even picking up a Battle Fury now, just really trying to abuse the Sleight of Fist against those Spiderlings. You can see how easily he clears them up now. I suppose the Battle Fury build very effective as well for the high ground defense.
And now they have a nice comeback potential. If all these spiders are stacked with the heroes, he just gets a rampage in one slide.
I mean, they're going to have to clump up pretty tight, but, you know, in a tight spot like the high ground force could be a possibility coming out there for OG really good switch out from BZM. How about the other heroes though? Like you mentioned, it's only really BZM having that good time. Anything else you'd like to see out from, say, Uragi, ATF, obviously BKB, hold on.
Iga, again, he's been focused so much in this game. They do not want to give the Tiny a game whatsoever. Tiger's still trying to bum up the Blink, but just can't get anywhere near us. Now Misha is also getting caught and just taken down. Both supports once again gone for the side of OG, and Roshan's up.
That's the big one.
Like we're just taking over the map, taking the second Roche now, which is going to be a big timing. Huska will have his BKB ready after that, but it's going to be hard for him to get impact even with this BKB. If they realize he has his BKB now, they will just rupture him in the fight, and if they kite him a bit, his BKB will just go off without being able to do a lot.
Yeah, and you've got, again, that second Roche with a shard ready to go here for Liquid. So they could look for the high ground play now. You can see all the spiraling scurrying around on the mini-map, just getting some vision out as they collapse onto the mid. And for OG, I mean, this high ground hold, it feels really difficult. Like, you can clear the creep wave. BZM has to play an insane game. And maybe eventually, as you mentioned here, Celery, if they do get a blink up on the Tiny, there's some counterplay there, along with the BKB, of course, Audemars being freshly built up.
They've been doing a good job splitting the map, so they're not falling behind that far on their course. The big trouble is this Tiny just never gonna have his blink. But if they can hold long enough with this Ember Battle Fury, and the Fury gets more items up, this hero does skill really well.
OG only being given a 10% chance here to win out this game by Dota Plus. A very rough affair. Liquid 90% at the moment. You can certainly agree with those stats. I mean, with the Aegis up, it doesn't feel like they've been contested for so long now, and Zai just keeping tabs. OG are smoked up. They will find the Broodmother. That's how they'll get started. They haven't got so much damage yet, though. Zai, he's actually quite tanky. Now BZM, he does avoid with the Remnant, but they've got another target. It's going to be Tiger, who does get ruptured up, and once again is going to drop. It's just so hard because it feels like Tiger, he wants that blink up to be able to find some kind of toss back and make a comeback happen, but they are not giving him any breathing room.
He's just had a rough time, right? Like, ever since going for that Veil, just trying to amp up the damage coming through, it's just completely counteracted by the pipes and that Wraith Pack coming out from Zai. High ground doesn't take long here, too.
Liquid is not going to give them any space to breathe. Just force everyone at least back in base and potentially just commit on this. They have really big timings right now. They have the Aegis. They got everything they need.
Here we go, Liquid onto the high ground once again. The tier 3 tower not going to last very long as the Tumblr's just hitting so hard along with the Leshrac, but a nice cookie. No, it's not going to land. Tiger still with the avalanche toss is there. Mickey falling low, but has the Bloodstone. Will take down the Tiny once again as Uragi. Boxy in the back line is at least going to drop, so it might force Liquid to reset and come back another day. They still almost have 3 minutes of the Aegis up, so they can afford to do this and just wait out their task. Maybe not. BZM, he does get caught on the Ember. He is gone. Oh boy.
Oh man. No buyback out in BZM either. So they can just, again, go back here, multi-objectives from Liquid's end, and they have a full minute where they don't have to worry about their creep wave being cleared out, but they don't have to worry about the Ember just kind of looking for that back line, these softer targets, and just try to melt them away. You do still have the chance for Uragi to kind of, you know, go to a lane and try to work it into OG's favor, but it's tough.
Bottom lane, in we go again. Okay, it's traveled in. Bottom racks, under siege. They'll force the cliff out. OG, been very patient with trying to force a fight. They've got to get it done sometime soon. Got it.
It's going to be very rough to hold on to this right now. I think Liquid might even force for the third side right now. They still have this Aegis. They don't have to wait for anything.
Rupture is there onto ATF, just making it hard for him to even think about jumping in. It's now mid-tier 3 tower under siege. Liquid just so calmly taking these structures, knowing the advantage they have. 17k, Aegis up for another minute and a half. OG, they're going to try and fight now. They'll start with Mickey, try to find the first life, but the Wraith Pack is going to be out. It is denied off by Misha. Liquid, they are not backing though. They want to keep going. Mickey just so confident, but may lose the first life now. No, in fact, never mind. Forstaff will be there. He's going to be just fine.
Yeah, I think the one bright side here for OG is that they didn't have to kind of expand anything or lose anything here, but you're at the point where even just going outside your own base is very annoying. Full ags up on Zai. These little traps are just going to give a lot of information out and just make it so hard for OG to try to make something happens, say if they wanted to smoke outside, it gets a lot tougher with just getting trapped up in the middle.
Yeah, this Lash picked up the Hex as well now. He has the Blink Hex. And the Ember realized he is the one that is having the free game. He cannot go too defensive. So he doesn't have anything for this Hex or for a Silence. So this might be getting close to the end if this Lash can get a good jump.
Oh, there it is. They jump in. Cookie was there. BZM! Oh, he was the one caught out. Matumba, he keeps bashing on command. BZM, he's down for 90 seconds. Minute and a half without buyback available on the Ember. This could be it. He doesn't have the gold right now. Liquid, there'll be 2 Raxes up. OG, they are trying to split push the best they possibly can, but the creeps are still in their base. In fact, never mind. Backdoor will kick in. Liquid, they won't have the time to go up for the T3 yet, but Amar trying to fight Mickey. Has he gone too far? ATF, he's going to fight Boxy. Onto Mickey they go. They might have the left rack, and they do. OG, they'll find another bit of Matumba. He got the rupture off. He does pick off ATF. He's got the Husker down, and now the bash is coming out again. Uragi, he cannot escape Matumba, man.
It's so difficult for OG. I mean, they're trying to make space. This is what they need to do. Try to stall out, force the back door to kick back in, but they don't manage to hold it. The creep wave comes back in. They lose some very big heroes, and they don't have a solution. Buybacks are ready on the respawn of BZM, though.
They've got to try something. OG. We'll see the buyback up from Uragi. That's going to be enough for them to back off. Rather Liquid, that is. Could immediately just out of there.
Tyga's trying to make some magic happen. He got rid of his veil to pick up the Blink now after all. And this is what they need. With some potential good prospects, they still have a chance. You always have a chance until the game is over. So you just gotta keep your head high, keep trying.
Yeah, look for that opportunity to drag someone away. You've got the damage follow through to play with anyway. It does feel like your investments here onto Amar, onto BZM can pay off now. Like they do have some good right click on hand. For Liquid, I mean, your 2 racks is up. You've taken the tier 3 top. Do you reckon you try to force something here, or do you just wait for Aegis once more?
I think first of all, you don't want to give too much space to OG, so potentially just do a move to take back the top side of the map. They already have a nice ward there. And if they do get any pickoff, they can just insta-go to the base. Maybe they feel strong enough, they don't even have to wait. They can just go right now, get a good team fight.
They've got to be careful. Liquid moving up. They're already in. Mickey, he's right out onto the support. In fact, BZM, he barely avoids the stun, but Misha's already gone. ATF gets shredded here by Matumba as Uragi. Is he going to get out? Just barely. No bashes for Matumba. But there's 2 down. Amar does not have buyback available. There is only 1 lane of barracks left in Liquid. They're going right for it.
Just nothing to stop him. BZM, he's got to dance around here really hard, but not even the tossback potential's at play. No buybacks available. Respawns are short, though.
Oh, BZM, he's been sniped by Stop. This could be it. Liquid. They'll take him down. He has the buyback. He's going to commit it, surely. No hold for now. Hoping Liquid may back off, but Liquid, they're looking for those T4 towers. Such a dominant series so far for Liquid. OG, they've got 1 last chance. They'll wait for ATF to respawn first, but they've held down Misha. Once again, the Snapfire is gonna melt. No buyback available. Uragi now getting caught in front of his fountain, but they'll move back towards the T4. They'll see ATF moving in on this Husker, trying to find a way, but Zai's making it so darn hard to close the gap. In fact, he's even TPing towards the CM, trying to find at least Insania, but the Glimmer Cape, they don't have the detection. Instead, they go onto Zai on the Broodmother, but Zai, he'll man up. There's the disarm out from ATF. Meanwhile, on the side, BZM, he's going to drop to Matumba, man. Zai still running, just can't get caught. They'll toss him in. ATF still trying his hardest, but it's not looking good. It seems like Liquid, they might have this series in the bag. There's 4 down. GG's called. GG is called. Liquid, they've done it once again, this time 2-0 against OG. And OG, I mean, they're a fan favorite here at TI11, but Liquid proving to be way, way too strong here today.
They played really well, synchronized so well. They kept the lane shut down very nicely, and Zai just managed to pop off really well in the Brood. There were no solutions coming out there from OG, and Liquid just play a clear game. For OG, I mean, this squad's come far. I think at the start of the DPC year, you know, new roster, expectations were kind of middling. Then they go to the major, they win a lot of tournaments on their own. They've got a lot of promise, but for today, Liquid just comes out on top, the better team.
Seems like Liquid out-strategized them today, and I don't think OG played bad at all. I think both teams put on a good show, but the strategy part made it quite hard to play the game. And yeah, both teams can be happy with their performance, but yeah, someone had to go today.
Absolutely, and great sportsmanship here on cameras. Both teams just hugging it out, obviously very close with each other, these two teams. With that, we are going to head back to our panel and see what they have to say about this game number 2.
Thank you very much. And yes, welcome back to the panel. OG are going to be leaving us today, and Team Liquid won't let Matumba Man retire. We need a few more games. They're going to get every ounce they can out of him, and a fantastic performance by Liquid. How is it going, guys and gals at the panel?
Hello.
I'm enjoying these moments as well, don't worry.
Yeah.
Here we are, we're a little bit back in. There's Zai. He got to play the Brood on the second game. He seems so stoic when he comes off matches. He's like, yes, this is, you know, he takes it very seriously. He's like, this is my job.
Especially after you play a Brood, you know, you have to play it cool. You have to play like you're not a total, you know, playing that Brood, just dominating last pick.
The way you deviated after total there. But Liquid, yeah, a 2-0 win. Was this expected? Because actually in a previous interview, I remember Liquid just saying, you know, I think it was Matthew who was just like, well, actually, we kind of didn't expect to be here, so we're just happy. He was just happy he's still playing. And now he's got another match today.
Probably not expected to be as convincing, right?
Yeah, no, I feel like each time they're playing right now in this low bracket run, it's like they're ready to... They will obviously want to get to the finals for Matu. As soon as they lose, Matu's going to retire. I'm going to lose him from our scene, at least competitively. So I feel like...
It's a blessing, right?
So yeah, like, it's actually scary to watch them play because like, I don't want to have to be on a panel when we're like talking about Matu's retirement. So I'm hoping that they do, you know, one more series. Maybe I'm not working that series, so I don't have to talk about him and, you know, his exit from competitive. But
I have a hot warming quip ready for that panel, so just, you know.
Okay, so
I'm good. Put me on it.
No matter when it happens, it's a heartwarming story, and his career is filled with success, right? So.
Yeah.
So what about this game? Because BZM got off to a great start on the Ember.
The problem is,